Evening all. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope everybody's keeping well. Welcome back to the channel. So tonight, guys, we'll be getting into De Zerbi, his latest interviews, because there's a lot in there. And about exactly where he believes Tottenham are right now and where he wants this club to go. We're going to focus on four big areas in this show tonight. What does De Zerbi still want from this transfer window? How does he believe Tottenham should buy and sell players? How important is De Zerbi himself to actually getting these deals done? And if Tottenham are really building the squad around his ideas, what should we eventually accept from him? So, look, I'm going to go over some of De Zerbi's actual quotes tonight and give you my interpretation of what he says. And then I'm going to obviously bring in Ian and want to hear his opinion on it, and everybody watching in the chat tonight as well. So I want everyone getting involved. Get in your comments, get involved in the discussion. I'll try and get through as many as possible. Super chats are open, so if you want to comment, definitely read out, please. There's super chat there. And yeah, guys, if you could hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please subscribe to Ian as well. Tottenham Touchline, his link's in the description. I'm sure I'll try and get his link in the chat as well throughout the evening. And if anybody watches this on playback, please, if you could smash the like button as well. And leave any comments, anything that what we say tonight in this show you want to comment on, please do leave a comment in the chat. I always get back to people who leave comments, so that would be great. Thank you very much. So yeah, look, we're going to have a great show tonight. I hope you enjoy it. Everybody's watching. I'll go to the chat in a minute and say a few hellos. So let's welcome in Ian. Ian, thank you so much for joining us this evening. How are you?
Always a pleasure, Dan. Yeah, all good. Had a nice, relaxing day. Weather's superb, isn't it? And carrying on.
Next
in
week,
the south, yeah.
Going
to be a hot one next week, which is great. The worst part of the day was probably watching Spurs in the friendly, but we didn't lose, so we're still unbeaten in pre-season for whatever that means.
We'll touch on that. Before we get into the main part of the show. But cheers, Ian. Appreciate you coming on. How's the new channel going?
Yes, it's building every week. We get more and more views. I work with three lovely guys who are all knowledgeable in football. We're getting some good guests on. We hope to keep it going through the months, and there'll be a lot more content from us going forward. So
what nights do you go in normally? Do you have a set night?
We normally go Wednesday night 8 p.m. Might have to move maybe in a couple of weeks to wait and see what the draw comes through on Monday nights for the Carabao Cup, because we're in the second round for the first time in quite a few years, aren't we? So, but normally Wednesday night 8 p.m.
Okay, cheers. Yeah, guys, go and check his new channel out. New start for Ian. Obviously moving the Spurs 5 decided to stop, and Johnny's now taking that channel. And I think is it Talking Tottenham, not 1882? Is that right?
That's it.
Yeah. So he's running the show there, and he's always going live, lots of videos and content as well. So yeah, I'm sure you guys check him out as well. Look, let's go to the chat and see who's with us tonight. Let's say a few hellos. We've got Daryl in the chat. How are you doing, Daryl? What we learned, once the press wears off, we're in big trouble. You've been saying that, Daryl, haven't you? And I have my concerns. I'm sure many fans do, and we're going to be talking about that throughout the evening, the forward line issue. We've got John there, John in this chat. Big up to you, John. Hope you're good. Appreciate that link you put in the chat earlier, the link to the game, mate. It was perfect. So thank you very much, mate. He says evening to Lubo as well. We got Nige in the chat. How you doing, Nige? Big up Dan Lubo in chat. Big up Nige. Hope you're well, mate. Tom in the chat as well. Tom, how you doing, man? Big up Dan Lubo and John. And we got Ferg who's joined us as well. Big up Ferg. Nice chatting to you yesterday, mate. Hope you're well. Hello all. Big up Dan Lubo and everybody. Big up to you, man. And Solanke and Madders are injured. Yeah, we know about that. Destiny 2, I don't know. Maybe I'll see in a bit later if he knows anything what's going on with Destiny, because he hasn't appeared at all in pre-season. A few hellos in the chat. John says, sell them all. We got Anthony in the chat. Big up, Anthony. How you doing, man? Big up, guys. Hope you're good, mate. Cookie's in the chat as well, mate. Cookie, how you doing, man? Congratulations on your show yesterday for reaching, where you wanted to get with subscribers. Fantastic show last night, mate. Enjoyed it. A few hellos. We've got Drula in the chat as well. How you doing, Drula? Evening, Dan Lubo in chat. How you doing, Drula? Thank you so much for being. We've got some jewels in the chat already. These jewels, man, getting used to these. 150 jewels. Football. Cheers, Cookie, mate. Much appreciated. A few more hellos in the chat. We've got Mark Taylor in the chat as well. Big up Dan and Lubo. Toothless. Mark is saying this squad is poor at the moment. Fit players. Yeah, shared on next. John, cheers, mate, for doing that. And a few hellos in the chat. Ferg saying hello to the chat. We've got Giant Panda in the house. Always got something interesting to say. Giant Panda turned the game off after 30 minutes. We were rubbish. There you go. Straight on it. Straight on it. Oh, dear. Mark Army in the chat there. Maybe Sheriff will join as well throughout the night. Ferg is saying, hold on here. Ferg is saying Mark Army. Oh, dear. My screen's just gone a bit weird. Hold on. Let me sort that out. Logan's in the chat as well. Big up Logan. Cool. We've got quite a few people in here now, haven't we? Get all joining. Just see if we go for a few more. Alfred, is that Alfred in the chat there? I think. Yeah, Alf Bergson. Sorry, he says hello. This is the famous Lubo from Spurs 5. Yeah, but it certainly is. It is you, isn't it? It is you.
It is me. Yeah. Not sure about the famous, but yeah, it's me.
Very popular on YouTube, mate. You are. Bill in the chat. Big up, Bill, as well, mate. How you doing? One thing I learned today: we might not win.
Don't think we will this year, Bill. So I think it's a bit too soon.
Look, big up everybody for joining us tonight. I appreciate you all, and we'll get your comments up for it tonight. And look, let's start off with that match today. I only caught the second half. It was a strange one, wasn't it? 70 minutes. Again, a very kind of underwhelming lineup. Ian, you watched it. Any takeaways, mate?
Any takeaways? Yeah, Van Heck, you can see, is a class player. Tonali as well. The top players show through. You could see who was at that higher level. Thought even my guy Archie had a decent first half, played well at right back. But obviously, Porro's coming in as soon as they get him back up to speed. Because I think him, Senesi, Spence, and also Romero, while he's still a Spurs player, are all due back at training on Monday. So I feel sorry for De Zerbi. He's got players injured already. He's got long-term injuries. He's got players coming back from the World Cup who aren't fit yet. Not fit enough to get back in. As I say, he's got several players that aren't even back yet, and it's a bit of a pre-season's been a bit of a mishmash, hasn't it? I know it has. It probably has been for most clubs, but we needed a complete facelift after last season, with lots of new players in. So it's been difficult again, and I'm just a bit concerned because it's going to take time to gel with several new players in, and if you don't get them playing in pre-season, then it's going to be difficult for the first few games, at least until they start finding their feet at the club. So the game today was a bit of a nothing game, was it? It was a nice goal by Gallagher. I thought they took their goal well. Having played centre-back all my life, you can see where things go wrong. Van Heck committed himself. Davis didn't cover at all. Before you knew it, they were through that gap and the ball's in the back of the net. So, but I'm not sure, where was Hardy? I think Hardy may have been playing in the under-21 game.
Yeah.
Don't know why he's been playing Davis so much. I don't think there's anything to be gained by playing him. I don't see how he's going to get many minutes during the season. So, but I think probably it's a shame we've got pre-season with the majority of the squad that's fit, and the majority of the players that are going to be fit enough to play at Brentford are probably going to be ready for, or sort of 70% ready for Hoffenheim next weekend. So we're sort of going in a little bit half cooked.
Yeah, I've got a few pointers on it. Cheers, Ian. That kind of gives a good introduction to that kind of game. One Spurs King, evening to you. What happened in the second game today? Apparently, Fernandes played. Yes, so there was a game under 21s. I don't know what really happened. I know the result. It was 2-1. Maybe Ian, you know some more.
I don't know anything about it, to be honest. I know they were kicking off at 5:30. That's all I know.
Yeah, so it was a win. So yeah, some of the first team players played. Senesi, I heard. I'd have to go back and 100% check the lineup, but yeah, Saar I think was there. I think a couple more as well. We weren't included in the match today. So yeah, we'll have a look. So look from that pre-season friendly today. Just got I've got a few little pointers to talk about that game. I mean the thing is that for me, and you did touch on it, Ian, is that we haven't seen nowhere near our first team. They've not had one game together or anywhere close. I know the World Cup returning players, I get that they really can't be involved yet, but there's concerns. Maddison hasn't seen any minutes. Udogi we haven't seen. Van der Ven, maybe is he carrying a knock? Because he went all the way to New Zealand and Australia and didn't get any minutes. You've got Van Hecke's played. But just generally, it's just so many. I'll go through them all, actually. Solanke, he seems injured again. Fernandez is injured. Maddison, I've obviously mentioned. Kulusevski, he's just returning. I didn't expect him to play yet. Same with Kudos. Savi's not coming back for a long time. So I mean, look, there's 2 weeks until Brentford.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been saying this the last couple of weeks now. I expect a bit of a slow start from Spurs this season. I don't think we're going to hit the ground running. I think it's impossible to really. We ain't got the forwards in. We haven't seen the first team play together. They can't get any cohesion, any rhythm. So I'm expecting a bit of slow start, Ian. Is that what are you kind of seeing the start of the season like?
I can see a few draws coming because I don't think we'll lose many games. If you're playing, say for argument's sake, you're playing a back four of Porro, Senesi, Van Heck, Van der Ven, and then you've got Tonali and Fernandez in midfield. You're not going to concede too much. Defense is not going to be cut open, and we're not going to lose many games. So without the firepower up front, although I do think that more chances with Tonali and Fernandez in midfield, I do think we'll create more chances for the forwards than we did last season. Because obviously, we were all saying you needed a number 8 to control the game. You need someone to put their foot on the ball, spray it around, and we've got that with these guys. They're both sort of hybrids, 6'8", and without Maddison, hopefully Maddison's going to be fit for Brentford. They're hopeful for there. I think they're probably he's obviously not 100% fit. He's carrying this hip injury. That's an old injury. And the aim is to get him ready for Brentford. So that, fingers crossed there. Kudus as well. They're trying to get him ready for Brentford as well. So listen, it's one of those, we're just going to see how it goes, through the weeks and just see who's fit. Without the goals, we're not going to win games, and it's a shame because I think he's done an awful lot of good work for the defence and the midfield, and we just need a couple of very good forwards up front to just to finish it off in terms of first part of the rebuild. Because when he came in, he said he had 10 to 12 players. There were 28 in the squad. So if you're looking at 16 to 18 new players that he needs, we've got 6. He probably needs another couple in the transfer window. I think there'll be maybe 1 or 2 coming in Jan, because I'm sure he'll want to top up. And then at the end of the season, he'll look at it and he'll think, right, who can play my way, who can't? And he'll look through the squads, and I think there'll be a big turnover again of players. And then maybe August next year, also without the World Cup year, hopefully without these long-term injuries, we'll be in a much better position in terms of strength of squad, strength of first team, much less injuries, no World Cup, and he'll be able to have hopefully a proper pre-season. This season will be, depends if we get the forwards. If we don't, I think we'll finish 9th or 10th. If we do, then I can see us challenging for 5th and 6th, 7th.
Fair enough. And there's this theme, Ian, throughout pre-season, and I'm sure you've noticed it. You've kind of mentioned it. Lot of the ball, lot of possession. Good pressing at times, I guess. Yeah. But it gets to that final third, and it's the same frustrations, isn't it? Like we've seen in the last 2 seasons. It is a big issue. the club, but I'm sure they're working on it. De Zerbi's they're going to demand Spurs deliver. Those 2 or 3. He's actually mentioned 3 players he wants in, but maybe 2. He says. So look, we'll get into it throughout the show tonight. I mean, Tonali played quite well, I thought, today. Important that Gallagher got on the goal sheet. I mean, he could be in for a start, couldn't he, for Brentford? Ian, what do you think?
Yeah. Listen, it's going to be an interesting team. At the moment, we've only got one fit number 10 at the club, and that's proper number 10, and that's Jamie Donnelly.
Yeah.
So you wonder, listen, if Donnelly keeps impressing, maybe he starts.
What, in front of Gallagher?
Starts.
In front of Gallagher?
Depends how he's going to play. Depends which system he's going to set up. If he can't get any strikers, I can see him. I don't know. I'd stick my neck out. He has played 3 at the back before, and play wing backs. If he doesn't have the wingers, then play the wing backs, and You've got Tonali in midfield, Tonali and Fernandes in midfield. You'll play you play Senesi, Van der Ven, and Van Heck as your 3. Maybe play. You could play Porro and Spence as your wing backs, the way that Spain and England played them as wing backs. Your 2 in the middle, maybe 2 number 10s with Richie in the middle, with Richie up front.
I got a feeling it'll be Tell starting on the left, Richarlison up top, Gallagher in behind. Right, it depends if Kudus is available or Kulu. Who knows? Solomon's, I heard today, is going to West Ham. I think that's fine. And Lance now, was it 5 million and 2 million add-ons? Something silly like that. It's a very small fee, but we didn't pay for anything for him in the first place, did we?
We didn't. So that's pure profit. And Dan, we're 4 players over the 17-man limit for non-homegrown players. So they've got to move another 3 players out now. Now that Solomon's gone, we got 20. So before you even bring someone in, you've got to clear 3 out, at least.
Yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? What do we do? Do we get those players in, and then we say, basically, we turn around to some of those players? Unfortunately, there's no room. You're going to have to find a club, unless, or you're just going to be, you're not going to be involved in the squad because there is a certain number of players. So I don't know. I'd rather get the players in and then let them go, because if you let them go and we don't get the players in, we're going to be short. Say, for example, we let go Solanke or Richarlison, then, you're really short, aren't you? We've already sold Lancashire. I'd rather Spurs get the signings in, and then we look to really put pressure. The club got to be ruthless, Ian, isn't they? And this one thing they have started to do this window, they have made quite a few sells. They've got rid of some players, made some profit, which is all good. But it needs to keep going. We need a bit more of that, don't we, Ian? There's a bit more deadwood. We need to get out of the squad. I don't expect it all to be done this window. I've been saying that all summer. I don't expect it all to be done, but I think there is some opportunities to move a few more on. Would you say that, definitely. Ian? Anybody you want to move on, particularly before the start of the season, end of the transfer window? Anyone kind of burn in for you?
Well, we've got 4 keepers. You don't need 4 keepers. So for me, Vicario is one.
He was on the bench today, Ian, weren't he? It's a bit odd, weren't it?
Well, you probably had Austin and Dubravka in the second game, I would have thought.
Yeah.
So he's got 4 keepers. It's like 2 and 2, isn't it? So I think that's probably what he did. Who else? Romero. I think the fact that Van Heck's in, Senesi's in, he doesn't see Romero in his plans. And I think Romero's probably upset a few people at the club with his outburst last season. So I figure he'll go. Wouldn't surprise me if Sarr goes. With Solanke injured again, I think that might slow down the Richarlison transfer. I still think there'll be quite a few. There'll be quite a few going.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Even there'll be several going out on loan. And I think there'll be a few that will be off the books completely.
Ferg, cheers, mate, for putting a lineup out on there.
Dubravka, Ty Hall, Dan Senesi. So be interesting to see how Sousa does with the doggy injured.
Is he injured, Ian? What is going on with the doggy? Do you actually know? Because I ain't seen anything.
He's injured. Reports are coming out that he's injured. Yeah.
That
He's injured
guy.
again.
And I'm sorry that we can talk about it actually, because this is one of my biggest concerns. I want to hear what you think as well. And I mean, the Robertson signing sounded like it was going to happen even before De Zerbi got here. And look, I wanted a better left back at the club, somebody who could attack, defend, more consistent. But they've stuck with a doggy, brought in Robertson, which, you know, I think we can improve in that area. And the thing is, it's really it's mad, isn't it? You know, I've said the doggy always injured, never really gets going, doesn't he, in a season? He has some games and he's out injured again, never gets the rhythm going. I mean, when I see him play, he's a terrible crosser. I'll put that right now. He's one of the worst crossers at left back. But what he's good at inverting. He's good at linking in with the winger on the left. He's got some physicality about him. He can get back. He can get forward. He hasn't got much end product, and he's just injured most of the time. I don't know if he's ever going to become the player that we all thought he would when he joined the club. First of all, Ian, Doggy, with you, were you open to giving him another season here, or did you want Spurs to go and invest in a better left back?
Well, I was told that De Zerbi was really pissed that the medical team had kept pushing Udogie back before he should be returning to first team football. He held him back for Wolves last year, played him against Villa. He had a cracking game against Aston Villa, at the beginning of May. And you just think, if he's going to be looked after properly and they're not going to push him out 80% fit and he just keeps breaking down, and you look at that performance at Villa, that's how well he can play. He had an excellent game in Bilbao as well, and I think he had Ahmad up against him, who was very tricky. He had Garnacho from time, periodically back end of that match. And you look at Udogie and potentially he could be terrific. But I think with this latest injury now, and I've always been very pro Udogie, I just think now you've got to have players that are available. You've got to have players that are consistently available. Players will get injured, we know that. But when players keep breaking down, when they keep missing half a season, it's no good. It really isn't any good. So for me, I'd sell Udogie, and you know what? I'd sell Solanke as well. He's injured again, and I don't think we've missed Solanke, to be honest. I think we need he likes to play he likes to play a non-traditional, non-orthodox centre forward, like a target man. Likes to play more fluid football. De Zerbi. I don't think we need a Solanke, to be honest. And I thought Frank would get more out of him. De Zerbi get more out of him? Maybe, I don't know. But for me, he's injured so much now that I would get him fit, put him in the market and sell him, get somebody in first. And that's exactly what I've been saying for Simon Cohen's message here. You look at all those players. Look, add Lineker to it, add Gilzean to it, add Martin Peters to it, Archie and Crooks, Bale, Son, Kane, Berbatov, and look at what we're watching now. They're so far off the levels, these players, and we're desperate for top strikers, top forwards.
Yeah, Going back to that, Doggy, I think this is really. I think De Zerbi. I think he'll see how he gets on. Maybe 6 months. Yeah. And if he's not fit, I think we'll be dipping in the market. I think with Robertson, I wasn't happy with it, to be honest. But I've kind of getting around the idea. I think the best way to use Robertson, but it might not be the case now. He might have to start with Udogie being injured. What I was thinking with Robertson is coming on second half in games when we're dominating, when we've got all the ball, we need a goal, we need to break down a low block, because he can still cross the ball. He has still got that quality driving into the box as well. But we've seen him. He got done straight away against Chelsea, against what's his name? What's that right winger called? I forgot his name now.
Yes,
he's Brazilian.
Estevão.
Yeah, completely done him. And
we switched off, didn't he? He lost concentration.
This is going to be happening. He hasn't got the pace. He hasn't got it. He's 32 now, isn't he? Something like that. So it does worry me. It does worry me.
that was a switch off. That was a momentarily, that was not being aware of what was around him and letting the guy get in front of him.
Yeah.
I think what Robertson brings to the club is a professionalism and leadership. And have we lacked leadership in the last 2 years, Dan?
Yeah.
You look at the players that left within a year. You had Kane, you had Lloris, you had Højbjerg, all gone, and nobody replacing them, and nobody in terms of no quality leaders that came in and replaced them either. So I think Robertson was probably brought in maybe a few months too late, because he would have done a great job and he would have lifted the levels of professionalism at the club had he come in January. Was he that was the time to bring him in? But De Zerbi obviously sees something there, and if Udog is going to keep breaking down, then you've got to have someone to replace him. For me, I play Van der Ven at left back, the way he does, the way the Dutch play him, and you've got Van Heck and Senesi as the two centre backs, with Porro the other side, or Spence.
I'd feel better with that, Ian. I would feel better with that in particular games
Yeah.
we come across, especially against good wingers, good but skillful wingers. I don't want them coming up against Robertson. I've got to be honest. We can get away with it in certain fixtures, certain matches, especially maybe more at home when we're dominating the ball and we're playing against low blocks. But look, Ian, I mean, with Robertson, we'll have to see. Right? We'll have to see. I hope I'm wrong. I do, because I want him to prove me wrong. But we will see. We will kind of judge it on what he creates. If he creates goals, assists, how he's kind of impacting on how we attack the ball.
Yeah.
And then I will judge the same way. Is he going to, is he going to make mistakes defensively? So I think we'll have a better idea by around Christmas, what sort of kind of where it's going. He is older. He can't play every game. So then that makes me feel, well, is Salsa going to get involved as well then? Because if the doggy's out, we don't know how serious it is.
Yeah.
You might see him as well. So look, I'm not completely satisfied with that left back position, but as I said at the beginning of the season, there's so much work needed to be done in this squad, and it was impossible to get it all done in one window. But there's other areas which are more important, isn't it? We all know what that is, that forward line. But interesting stuff, guys. Interesting stuff. Ian, I'm going to go to the chat. Bring up a couple of comments, and then we're going to move on to the De Zerbi talk. Yeah, we're going to really get stuck into it, and I want everybody in the chat getting involved as well. Big up to Anton in the chat as well. Big up to everybody who's joined us since we started the show. Anton says, good show, boys. I think some of our supporters will start comparing 10-game records with predecessors. Now, this is what I kind of said, Anton, isn't it? I don't expect a fast start. Number one, we ain't got the forwards in yet. They haven't even been integrated if we even get them. And then we haven't seen the first team together. They haven't. Right. There's nothing to build towards. It's not been, okay, I get it. We watch these games in pre-season and we can kind of see how De Zerbi wants to play, possession-based, pressing, 1-2 touch passing. Yeah, we can see all that. But unless you've got that first team playing a good few games, it's not going to be a fight. Look, it could be. You never know. It's not impossible. But if we don't have a really good start and win every game, and have a couple of defeats, I wouldn't be surprised, Ian. I think that's fair, don't you?
Sure. Yeah, I think the other answer I want to give Anton is 10 games. You can't judge managers on 10 games. Everybody went berserk. Everyone thought, "Oh, fantastic! Ange, 10 games is one manager of the month for August, September, October." And then in the next 66 games in the league over the rest of that season and the following season, we only got 78 points out of 198. So everybody was judging after 10 games, and it was nonsense. And the next 66 games proved it. So let's not go down that path. We've just finished 17th twice. We're looking to improve on that. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. This could be several years before we're back up and challenging for big trophies. Could be 2 or 3 years. So remember, we finished 17th. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, Ian, it's what you said there is very interesting, because I don't think everyone will agree with you. Because some fans are expecting, with that level of money are spending, especially if we get the forwards in, that we must be getting closer qualifying for Champions League. I don't agree with that. I'm not saying it's impossible. It could happen if we stay injury free, everything clicks. Of course, one game a week and all that. But I'm not sure. You've got to remember, guys, we were 17th twice. There's a lot of bill. We had to spend this level of money to get this Spurs side back competing again. That's the start, isn't it? Start winning games of football, not getting battered every week. So I'm kind of treading a bit cautiously with expectations. But I do expect to see some progress on the pitch. I expect us to win home games. I expect the football to be better, and I expect to, over the course of the season, be harder to beat. And be an entertaining side and a side on the up. And I keep saying this, and I've said it so many times. I'm sure everybody's a bit sick of me saying it. I think when it comes to the second part of the season, and we're kind of chasing the European place, then we deserve what we get. And we go with it. But again, if we're in cup competitions, I do want De Zerbi to prioritise them. I don't want him playing a weakened side just because maybe the club are telling him you've got to make Champions League. Because I want to win things. I want to win trophies. This club hasn't had enough of it over especially under ENIC. So good comments. Interesting. And going to Tom in the chat here, not trusting ENIC still. They've not done enough to ensure we don't get relegated. Look, Tom, trust, and what my opinion on ENIC is. Trust needs to be built. Trust does need to be built. And Ian, I'll go to you here because, I spoke to you yesterday. You were in a very good mood. I know you had a good day out planned, but there's been a kind of, I get that feeling that you've got a refresh, haven't you? Because of all these changes, the money spent, you've kind of got a new lease of life about Spurs, right?
Yes, I think prior to Levy and Lewis running Levy leaving and Lewis taking a backward step, there was no ambition at the club. They weren't interested in trophies. It was all about profit. It's going to take time. Listen, we've had 25 years of this. Everybody knows how I felt about Levy and Lewis. And what I will say is that this summer they have. Listen, we're still miles off. We're still miles off being a top football club. We haven't got people on the board that know about football, experts on the board. We haven't got a top CEO, because for me, Vinay is not a top CEO. We have a CEO, Vinay Venkatesham, who won't put a museum in because financially it doesn't stack up. What a disgrace of a comment. It's in the minutes of the meeting with the trust. Absolutely disgraceful. He has no respect for the club, for the history, for the traditions of the club. For me, if I was on that board, he'd be gone. He would be gone. Lang has been sidelined. We need a top DOF, which I'm sure hopefully the club will get. But the first thing they had to do was stop the descent down. We were spiraling. I mean, we were 17th last year, but never really in danger of going down. We were 17th this year and one match away from relegation. So it was a massive drop off because the 18th club, which was West Ham, got 39, I think, last year. The 18th club, Leicester, got, I think, 26. So West Ham got 50% more points. So the league had evened up a bit for 18 of the 20 clubs. We just about stayed up. So they had to spend, because they were looking at the value of their asset dropping by, what, $1.5 billion? I mean, if you own an asset and you're looking at a drop of that much, that's horrendous. So they obviously didn't want that. Will they carry on spending? That's the $64 million question. Time will tell. But up to now, they've gone out, they've broken the transfer record twice. They've lifted this ridiculous wage cap that Levy had on the club for 25 years. So now we can go out and compete for players and pay wages that the other big five clubs are paying. They brought in, instead of having a chairman who pissed off every single chairman, from what I'm being told, we had clubs that didn't want to deal with us. You had Alex Ferguson say quite openly he'd rather have a hip replacement than deal with Daniel Levy in a transfer negotiation. We've now got Rafi Mawson, who is an excellent transfer negotiator. From what I'm told, Man City were gutted that they lost him. So we've got him. We've got Langnet is now off overseas recruitment. We've now got Chris Ramsey back at the club, who's got a very good network. So they put that in place as well. So there are changes. There have been some changes this summer. They're encouraging changes. To prove yourself, you've got to do it over several years. It's not 2 months. So am I ENIC in? I'm not ENIC in, but I'm more encouraged by what ENIC 2.0 are doing. And if they keep this going, then yes, they will win my trust over. But, I've seen 25 years, in fact, probably longer, because since Venables went in 93, yes, we had, with Sugar, we had Klinsmann come in, we had Ferdinand come in. But I think there was more of an emphasis towards the commercial side even then. And since ENIC took over, it's just been, we've just slipped further and further down the pecking order. So yes, there have been changes. It's interesting. I've got my sort of mojo back a bit now for Spurs, because
it's good.
my mantra was no expectation, no disappointment.
I'd say you're pulling your hair out last season, Ian, but you've got no hair. Mate, God, you lost it last year, mate. I think it was so many streams.
Oh God, I think it was typified. We were at Brentford on New Year's Day, and the football was so bad. Yeah. We were singing all the songs for the players under Poch. That's what it had got to. And that was the away end. Everyone was so pissed off with it. But listen, we've got a really good manager, and they've got to back him. They've got to give him proper backing, which they're doing this summer. The money's available for the forwards. The board have made the money available. It's there. There's 150 to 200 million sitting there waiting to be spent. If he wants to go and buy 3 forwards, the money's there. Now it's up to the people they're employing to make it happen.
And I think that's where we're going to move on now. And we're going to get stuck into the De Zerbi part of the show, and we're really going to deep dive into it. Big up to Wayne in the chat as well. Just bring this comment up. Evening, Dan and Lubo. I hope you're good, Wayne. Big up to everybody else as well for watching the show. Smash the like button. Subscribe to me. Subscribe to my guest as well if you're new to the channel. Thank you very much. Look, let's just go through the comments quickly, see if there's anything else I wanted to say. So many comments in the chat. I can't get through them all, but thank you so much. Scott, hello, Scott. If Donnelly plays a minute of Premier League football this season, people should be sacked. Always the optimist, Scott. Big up to you, mate. I hope you're good. Look, we need to. I think we could be doing with a number 10, but the difficulty isn't it? We've got Kulu can play there, Madison, Kudos, Donnelly. I mean, to be honest, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold it because I'm sure it's going to come up in the sections. But just going back to what you said, Ian, about the club and ENIC and everything, I can't forgive and forget yet. I am still scarred from what I've seen. And it really, really ramped up, isn't it, when it was Pochettino, right? When we were qualifying for Champions League regularly, we're challenging, well, that's even an argument, challenging for the title a couple of seasons, definitely one of them. The club didn't push on. Risk averse. Levy made the wrong decisions, and they just messed up. And that period there was the massive opportunity for Spurs to have gone on and won the league and won the Champions League or whatever, win as many things as possible, but they messed up. It can't be forgiven. It cannot be forgiven. So, like you said, Ian, to build any sort of trust back with this new ENIC 2.0, it's simple for me. If you're going to start spending £100 million players, this has got to be the norm now. This is what we've got to see. I'm not saying every signing has to be 100 million, but if there's a particular player we need in this team come next summer, which is really going to push us on, we're going to have to pay it. It's the going rate. It is what it is. And I just want to see that ambition from the club. And we're going to get into it because De Zerbi is very ambitious, I think, right? And it's going to come up through certain quotes in the show tonight. Are ENIC going to match his ambition? Are ENIC going to match the fan base's ambition? Yeah, we do not know yet, because people may say, well, they're spending this money now because they almost got relegated.
Sure.
We do not know. It's too early to say, but it's been a positive start so far this summer, but they have to do the job. They've got to get the forwards in before the end of the window. So look, let's just jump into the De Zerbi chat. We're going to start off with the signings, 2 or 3 more. What does he still want? And look, the biggest transfer takeaway for me is simple. De Zerbi expects another 2 or 3 signings before the window closes. He doesn't tell us the positions though, so I'm not going to pretend he has. But he has said this, right? This is a quote from the interview he's done recently. Now we have to bring in top players to become competitive. Now that bit interests me. He doesn't say we just need another couple of bodies. He specifically talks about top players and becoming competitive. Now, I'm not saying, like I just mentioned, that all 2 or 3 of these signings have to be £100 million superstars. He doesn't say that, but surely it tells us he believes there's still significant quality missing from this squad. So before we go any further, I'll put a question to you, Ian, and to the chat. If Tottenham make 3 more signings, which 3 positions are you choosing? And people in the chat get involved, and then I'll get up to date with the chat as well.
I think at the moment you could get away with Gallagher as a 10. Maddison's not far off fitness. Kudus isn't far off fitness, and Kudus could play as a 10 as well. Hopefully we're going to get at some stage between now and Christmas, we're going to get probably nearer Christmas, we're going to start seeing Kulusevski playing as well. So I think we need the strikers. I think we need 3 forwards.
Okay, specifically what positions, Ian?
Well, either side of the centre forward and the centre forward. So you got like an old football 7, 9, and 11.
Okay.
I think you look at the pre-season games. Tonali, Fernandes, and Gallagher have all scored goals. So in the pre-season games, you're getting goals from midfield. We need the goals from up front now. And I think, for me, we need 3 players that are of a similar level to Tonali, Fernandes, and Gallagher up front in those front 3 positions. Now, we're looking forward to getting Kudus back. That will be one of them. I think from what I hear, De Zerbi wants 2. I mean, it's widely known he wants Savinho and he wants Gakpo. And I just think at this stage, those are the 2 that Spurs are hanging their hat on. I think hopefully, City, Maresca, I think bought Neto for Chelsea. They're in talks with Neto again. If Neto goes to City, then that hopefully releases a place so they can let Savinho go. As far as Gakpo is concerned, Liverpool seems to be moving now on players. They're looking at, they're talking with PSG about Barcola. Funny enough, I see they're buying the Barcelona captain, so they're strengthening. They're strengthening
on loan, well. Isn't it? Isn't it on loan, Ian?
Is it a loan?
Yeah,
probably with a view to probably with an obligation, I would have thought. But a good player. Those are the 2. They're the 2 I think he's going for. Ideally 3, but where are we now? What are we? 8th of August. We got 24 days to the end of the window. And the closer you get to the end of the window, the harder it is to get players, because the selling club has got to replace them. So it's going to be a close run thing. It's literally going to be lastminute.com, I think, with Spurs.
So you're talking a left winger, a centre forward, right, Ian? Right? And then the third one,
I think will probably be a right winger. A right winger.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll
cover Kudus. Or what about it could be like a forward player that can play across the forward line, maybe probably a bit more of a kind of flexible type forward.
Quite possibly. The other alternative that De Zerbi did for the Everton game that kept us up at the end of last season was he played both Spence and Porro. So you could play Spence at right back and play Porro further forward. You could sort of play him in the position further forward that he plays for Spain as well. I'm sure De Zerbi would have seen that and thought to himself, he looked good there, didn't he? So there are options. Options.
Right wing you'd go for. Left, middle and right.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, at this stage.
Let's go to the chat. Let's go to the chat and see what positions people want in the chat. Let's just scroll down a bit. Have a look and see some comments. Evening to Solvex, how are you doing? There's just a couple of questions in here. Daniel, evening to you, Daniel. But Vinder's asked yourself the more important question: have you won an Aussie Cup final? So I think there's some conversation going on there. Sniper's Dream. He's coming up with a prediction here for 4th, 5th. We need to score an average of 1.8 goals per game, and possible with our strikers. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Sniper's Dream, spot on there. Just to see if there's any people putting the positions in the chat. Let's have a look. Rob says there's a low bar. Neto in for Savio. Only shows the level City rate Savio. Do you agree with that, Ian?
Interesting one. Neto suffered badly from injuries, so he even with Chelsea didn't really have that big a consistent run. They obviously rate him. Maresca obviously likes him. This will be the second time I think that he would have bought him. And Savinho wants out and wants to come to Spurs, so it makes sense. Now I think a Savinho released playing on the left side, unlike he did at City, but like he did at Girona. I think De Zerbi's going to improve a lot of players. And I think when we're looking at this season coming, don't think people are taking that into consideration. He will lift players 10, 15, 20% performance-wise. And I do think that however poor our forwards are, and believe me, I don't want Tel, Slanky and Richie in my front three, I think De Zerbi will get more out of them. So, if you've got people like Tonali, Fernandez, Gallagher weighing in with goals as well, the goals will come, but they'll be more spread around.
Fair enough.
And then you got Maddison as well to come as well. Kudus will weigh in with a few. Kulusevski, I'm sure, will weigh in with a few when he's back. So there are goals there.
They're maybes, aren't they? They are. I mean, Maddison did score goals when he was fit, but he can't stay fit the whole season. Kulu did score. His stats are not amazing, Ian. I don't know if you've gone back and had a look. They've been a bit iffy, a bit inconsistent for me, Kulu. And then who else did you say? What was the other one you said? You said another player as well.
Kudus.
Kudos. I'm just hoping that he really kind of steps up this season under De Zerbi. I really do. He got 5 assists, 1 goal before he got that serious injury, and we all know the problems with it. Last season under Frank, where everything was every attack from Spurs went down the right. He got exhausted. He got marked out of the game. We had nothing else. So I'm hoping if we can get something similar on the left, then it's not going to be all targets against Kudos. But with the Savinho thing, I mean, I've really kind of gone over left wingers throughout this summer window online, on lives and whatever, and done videos. It's not that easy to go and get a high-scoring left winger. There's not that many out there. And the ones that I would love to have, I mean, they're unattainable, I think, right now in the sort of position Spurs are in, who nearly got relegated, not in Europe.
Yeah.
And we've really kind of got to get into the Champions League and then start going for those players, because we've got a bit more. And then there's more evidence that Tottenham are moving in the right direction. So Savinho, not particularly keen. He hasn't got the output. Clearly a talented player. If you're talking about a player that would fit a De Zerbi system, I get it. He can take on his man. He can stretch the pitch. Yes, he has to work on his decision making in the final third, which can be coached. Yeah, it can be coached. It can be worked on. It can improve. And maybe with Savinho at City, how Pep used him, there's lots of question marks, isn't it? That he was put on the right and then on the left, is in and out the sides. And then last season, City upgraded him, didn't they? Went for Semenyo. Do you know what I mean? They had Doku. And I think Savinho just kind of got pushed out, really, didn't he? So, look, I'm okay with it going, but he's got to hit. He's got to hit, because De Zerbi wants, if he's accepting him, he's got to hit next season or the next couple. We've got to get output for him if he does come in. Look, let's keep going through the chat. Evening to Peter, how you doing? Evening all. Enoch, we need to be more evidence. They've changed. 100%, I agree with you. Let's see if there's any other comments here around front three. Evening to... is that DRC Views TV front three, he says, as the 3 players coming in. Yeah, fair enough. I totally get that. Cookie says we are a long way off yet. First team not even built yet, let alone the squad. Yeah, we've been talking, Cookie. Yeah, that's right. Got to get that first team upgraded first. I agree with you. Sheriff says striker, left winger. So 2 forwards and a left winger. Thanks, mate. Aussie Ange, evening to you. If we get 2 quality forwards, our transfer window would be similar to Chelsea's 2004 summer transfer window, and they got 95 points, lost 1, conceded 15, and we need to be, and we will be need to be far off that. Aussie Ange, always the optimism, mate. But I mean, look, even with 2 quality forwards, we're still going to be tough. It's still going to be tough. There's some good teams in this league. Yes, I know there's new managers coming in next season. It's a little bit different. You know, Pep's gone now. You know, you got Areola at Liverpool. We got Alonso at Chelsea. We've got a new manager at Newcastle. I mean, look, it's a different kind of environment now, this Premier League, and it's a massive opportunity for Spurs, I think, this season, if they can get this forward line recruited well. And yeah, we could have a good season, but we'll have to wait and see. Bill in the chat says 10 left wing and a striker. Yeah, and I would, if it was me, Bill, I would probably be a bit ruthless. I would Maddison for me. Yeah, he can't stay fit the whole season. There's question marks for him being a captain because he's not going to be available enough. I would be looking to bring in a quality number 10. Now, the worry thing is, say if we do bring in a good forward, we need people to provide that forward with chances. Yeah, you need someone who's quality with assists and who's going to be reliable and who's going to be available. Consistency. So we do need a creator, as well as a top forward who's going to bang in the goals. So I get what you're saying, Bill. I mean, I probably would. And the right wing, as Ian said, when you have Kulu there, question marks over, but he can play on the right wing. Other than that, we haven't got anyone else on the right wing, have we? So, yeah, it's a big decision to make. And that's why I think maybe we will go for that kind of forward player who can play across the forward line, can do a 10, can go up front, but do the 9 left and right. So maybe that's what they're looking at. Maybe a left winger, centre forward, and a versatile attacker.
Do you know what, Dan? Your perfect number 10 would be Gibbs White, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Goal scoring number 10 who creates as well. That would be perfect. That would strengthen the team. I mean, no end.
I agree, and that would be a player that makes so much sense. Homegrown, you know, his output last year was really good. He's in the striker list. You know, amount of goals he got more goals than some strikers in the league. So, Will Makarakis, whatever his name is,
Marinakis,
that's it, Ian. Yeah, will he? Because he stopped that from going through last season. Is he going to let it go through this time? I doubt it. I know some fans have hope that it could happen. Money talks, right? Big enough offer could get him to Spurs, and he was interested in coming, wasn't he, last season? So, look, it makes a lot of sense, but it's getting it done, isn't it? With that chairman. Let's have a look in the chat and go through a few more. You might as well have Drew the left wing and my. That's how fans rate our forward line is not good enough. It's not good enough. Sniper Dream says Mayfair football, all very pretty, but no domination. Yeah, I get what you're saying, mate. We're going to be good on the ball, possession, good pressing, but with no killers up front. Tom in the chat says we need a starting left winger and 2 strikers. Big up, mate. Peter, we need 1 quality striker. Mark Taylor wants a left winger, right winger, centre forward. And Scott as well says left winger, striker, depth player to cover for right wing and 10. Yeah, kind of a bit similar to what I said. Sheriff says Enoch out still. Enoch out until we start winning and start actually kind of showing some consistent ambition in the club. We will see it. We will see it play out. Go to Rob in the chat as well again. 40% of revenue is relegation spending, even at level finance Tottenham has. Interesting money in. Do you reckon?
I think Spurs have, if you're looking at, 85% of, I think, was it fees and wages to turnover, I think is the new law. And I think that would give us, what are we now, with 565 million, 85% I think is around 480 million. So the club could theoretically spend 480 million in this financial year on players. So listen, let's see what happens. The reason why we can spend the money is that the club have earned a lot of money over the years. If you look at the operating profit in the books, they've They've earned something like well over 200 million in the last 2 years. The reason they've made a loss is that they've used the depreciation against assets for the ground, for the players, and that's ended up with with the tax loss. But the club's making money, and the club has made money ever since. Well, listen, probably for the last 30 plus years. In fact, since the Premier League started, I saw a report up to year before last. I haven't seen anything updated since then, but up to 2024, Spurs were the most profitable club that have played in the Premier League from the time it started in August '92.
Wow.
So listen, Enoch own the club. It's their club. They choose. They spend they choose how they want to spend their money. But they've underspent for so long that we are now in a position where we can take advantage of that and spend big money. And what they did, they built an entire business model that nearly crashed. Because if we'd have gone down, they'd have lost 270 million this coming season, and $1.5 billion possibly up to about that money on the value of their assets. So it was false accounting, penny wise, pound foolish. So now they've got the money because they've got the wiggle room. They've always had wiggle room, and we've never stretched. You look at other chairmen stretch to the to the limit of FFP, PSR, whatever it's been called. Our owners have never stretched. They've taken us up to a level where we're competitive, where it brings the full houses in, where everybody's spending money in food and beverage in the club shop, but they've never tried to go from the second level up to the top level, because that means risking money, and that's what they've never wanted to do. And it nearly ended up in relegation and a massive loss of valuation and day-to-day money. So I think the kids have seen that. At the end of the day, you get a shock like that, it doesn't leave you. So, and hopefully they're looking at it now, and they probably saw it's a massive club. You look at how many people turned up for the parade after the Europa League win. There were 225,000 there in less than 48 hours notice. Not even a weekend. People were still coming back from Bilbao, and there were 225 or 250,000. It's a massive club. And it really is. It's like a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they've realised that, and they want to be successful.
Well, it's about bloody time, Ian, isn't it?
Oh,
it's about bloody time, isn't it?
We've been I honestly feel, Dan, that I know Poch had a great run, and we said we had a nice year or two under Harry Redknapp. I genuinely feel they've cheated me out of 25 years of Tottenham Hotspur.
100%. 100%. They cheated us all. They've cheated us all, especially the got people who spend an amount of money on season tickets, season in, season out, loyal supporters. I mean, I stopped spending or going to the game since Poch. After I just had to make a stand on myself. I just thought it was a disgrace, absolute disgrace. I think I've been once since Poch, and that was last season. That's it. And I want to start going again, but I've got to see real ambition. I've got to see this, and they've made a start, but it's a long way to go. Let's keep going in the chat. We'll go over a couple more, and then we're going to move on. Phil, big up to you, Phil, mate. I hope you're well. 2 players that can play across the front line and the centre forward, mate. Look, everybody's going forward line, aren't they? And De Zerbi hasn't actually said. Obviously, it's obvious. It's obvious, what we can see. But he hasn't actually said, has he? He hasn't actually said. And he did come out the other day and says Solanke is a top striker. And I get it. But, come on. Now, how many times have we heard that?
But Dan, when Solanke gets on the pitch, he's going to run through a brick wall for him, isn't he? And that's what you want. That's what you want. Whatever his limitations are ability-wise, you want him to run through a brick wall for De Zerbi.
Yeah.
So it's smart man management.
Yeah, it's what it is, because there's no way in hell he's he's bang average. Let's be honest here. He hasn't really done enough since being at the club. And there was a lot of doubts anyway before he came in. Random question, panel and chat. Sergio Ramos is a free agent and still player. Any good? Let them know. I think he's been well gone. He's well gone, Ozian. But great player in his day, eh? Fantastic player in his day. Just see if there's more in the chat. Justin, big up to Justin. These players won't come back and stay fit. Waste of Solanke missing knees. That's
North
sore
London derby.
North London. Sorry, yeah, you can see it better than me. With sore throughout isn't for me. Yeah, fair enough, Justin. Fair enough. And Wayne says striker number 10 and the left winger. You can't rely on Maddison. Fraud. He's always injured. Yeah, because
And
Wayne.
and Wayne's a Leicester fan, so
Yeah,
he's talking from experience.
yeah. He always has said that, hasn't he, Wayne? Yeah,
Yeah.
big up, mate. I think that's it. I think that's it for now. Let's just double check if there's any others in there about the forward line. I think we covered it. I'll just get through. Big up to Richard James in the chat as well. Evening to you. It's just that we say that about every manager. We said that about Thomas Frank. Look, yeah. Enoch, oh dear. Where's our forwards? I won't repeat that. But big up, man. And up the Spurs. Evening to you as well. Where are our new forwards? Everyone's going to be, this is everyone's. Every show, every conversation is where are the forward players? I'm getting sick to death with it. I get it. We need them. We desperately need them. I'm a little bit, and I know we've, Ian, you've given some praise. Fans have given some praise to how the transfer window has gone so far. But really, they should have got at least a couple of them in or one of them in by now. And it is frustrating because we all knew the mid-March plan. De Zerbi's come out and clearly said he sat down with Lange. If they stayed up, these are the players we're going to go for. The defenders came in, the midfielders came in, and then it's all kind of come to a grinding halt over the last couple of weeks. So there is, we do have to question it because we need them players integrated ASAP. And like you said, Ian, the longer the transfer window goes on, the harder it's going to get due to them teams having to have to replace players, quality players, like, players who score a lot of goals, who are very key to the team they're playing for. They're not easy to get out of them clubs, right?
No, they're not.
Because they're not. So I think there's a bit of that, but it's still been a long way. Ian, just your thoughts quickly on that.
From what I've heard, they're working around the clock to bring forwards in. They've spoken with several forwards, several. I think the two they want are Savinio and Gakpo. They spoke. Listen, we've seen all the names in the papers, haven't we? Somerville, Leal. I've seen Balogun mentioned. That for me, that wouldn't be a bad shout if they could get Balogun in. There's been several. There's no shortage of players. They're not sitting on their backside saying, "Great, we sorted out. We've got very good players in for the defence and the midfield. Let's visit the strikers in January." They're not doing that at all. They are trying. If Spurs want Savinio and Savinio wants Spurs and City aren't releasing him until they've replaced him, there's nothing you can do as a club. You've got to take a view. Either you take a risk and you wait, or you look elsewhere. Now, initially, Spurs and City were some way apart on the transfer fee. So Spurs were looking elsewhere. They've come back to Savinio. So it's not like they've sat there waiting for weeks and weeks for City to do something. They're not. They talked to Leal's agent. They looked at Somerville. So that they are looking at other players. Now, from what you read, from what I hear, Savinio and Gakpo are the two that Spurs want. Let's see if they get them. It's a risky strategy unless you're going out and you keep looking at other people. But then I'll ask this question. De Zerbi plays a certain way. And we've complained for years at the managerial turnover. And we've gone from Poch's style to Mourinho's style, to Nuno's style to Conte's style, from Conte to Ange, from Ange to Frank. It's like it's going up. It's like you're all over the place. There is no one style, which is why, in terms of the macro, we need owners who are going to bring a culture in, that are going to bring a mentality in. They're going to want to bring in a style of football that supersedes directors of football that come and go, managers that come and go, players that come and go. And until that's in place, we're not going to be complete and as well structured as the other big clubs. But De Zerbi's got to get players in that suit his style. You can't just go and buy anybody who might be slightly better than Richarlison and Solanke, but don't fit the style of play that De Zerbi wants to integrate into the team. So he's got that issue as well. He plays a specific way. There's no point bringing in a centre forward that suits Glasner's way of playing football. There's just no point in it. So I think we've just got to be patient. You can't put everything right. We've had 9 years since Spurs left the lane and went to Wembley. We've had 9 years of transfer windows that have been horrendous, pretty much. Every player, there's not one player in the Spurs squad that is an upgrade on Poch's team of 2017. Not one. So it's going to take time to build back. And nobody wants to be patient. Everyone wants everything today. I'm the same. I want Spurs to hit the ground running, to be at the top of the table in 3 or 4 matches. But you've got to remember where we're coming from. We've got a new manager who's integrating a new style. He didn't play the way he wanted to play in the last 7 games of last season. He just looked at the players and played a specific way to keep us up. He made us hard to beat. We were in terms of the amount of shots we conceded in the last 7 games, we were top of the Premier League. It was about closing down space, closing down their attackers, not allowing shots to come in, not allowing crosses to come in. And De Zerbi was very successful. We got 11 points from those 7 games. And from being 2 behind to West Ham on the first weekend, we finished up 2 ahead. He did a great job, but he did a job playing a specific way that wasn't his way. It was a way just to get us out of trouble. So he's going to want the right players. And if he can't get the right players, because he's tried and clubs aren't releasing them, and we're stuck with Richarlison and Solanke, then for me, we will underachieve against what we would have done with the forwards. If it takes him a bit longer, unfortunately, it takes him a bit longer. But you know what? It's better looking at it that way. And I'm not being unambitious because I want to see trophies. I look at the other big clubs and I look at how the other 5 clubs, they have regular days to Wembley, they win the league, it's fantastic what these other fans, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, United, City have been getting in the last 25, 30, 40 years. And I want a piece of that. But we nearly went down. We were 1 match from going down last season. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. And I want those 2 strikers in. If Savinho and Gakpo come in, and you've got Kudus there as well, then for me that front 3 is on a different level to what we had last season. If he can't get it, he can't get it. I don't know what, there's nothing we can do as fans, but I'm sure he'll get more out of these strikers because he's got better players behind them. So I think it's just...
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Ian. I totally get what you're saying. I just think, I like Daryl in made a comment here, which is fair. Sit back, watch the domino effect in full swing. Our future is in the hands of other clubs. And when you put it like that, I don't like that. But there's something holding it up, isn't there? There's something holding us not getting our key forward players right now. Savinho, totally get it. Totally understand it. If City are not releasing him, they're trying to get a replacement. I get it. Who's next on the list? Get them. But they haven't. They've gone back to Savinho. A bit of work needs to be done somehow to kind of... because I'm sure De Zerbi is getting a bit frustrated because it's getting very, very close now. Just want to bring up another comment as well, and then we're going to move on. Alfie, evening to you. As it stands, if Kudus isn't fit enough to start against Brentford, who starts on the right wing? Ajay, this is what I mean. We don't know. We don't know. It could be it could be anyone. Some of those players are not fully ready yet. Kulusevski, are they going to be fit to start? I hope so. But they won't be able to play the full game, will they?
Well, you could see Porro there with Spence behind him.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, that is an option, I guess. If Spence ends up staying, we don't know what's going on with him yet. There's a little bit of talk around Liverpool, isn't there? But I think that's gone a bit cold. I think the last couple of days. Daniel 90 Coy says, Dan, what's one of the worst things in football? Inconsistency, and Savinho just compounds that. I know we're just hard up. I will never accept the better of 2 evenals. I get it, man. I do get it with Savinho, but I really struggling. Who else could we get at left wing who's going to do what De Zerbi wants, and I really struggle with it. I'm sure I'm sure the club are, but they're the ones getting paid all the money. You know, they've got the scouts, they've got the recruitment team, they've got the contacts, they've got De Zerbi's got the phone call, hasn't he? He's got the phone call. He's getting, he's having a personal touch on it. This recruitment, we've all heard what's going on. But look, let's move on. Big up to everyone in the chat. Smash the like button if you can. Much appreciated. I just want to take this down. We're going to move on a little bit more about the forward players. So look, you know, De Zerbi has been backed very heavily this summer, but you know, he's still publicly talking about what is it now, about needing top players to become competitive. So here's the bigger question at this point in the window, and we've kind of talked about it. Should Tottenham be looking for 2 or 3 more good players, or concentrate on that remaining budget on 2 genuine game changers? And I mean, you know, when you hear the word bomber, right? Bomber to me is a massive sign-in, which, you know, maybe it's just come out of nowhere. It's gonna, you're looking at that sign, you're going, yes, that is what we, an Osherman, for an example, a proven goal scorer. It's somebody like that. So just kind of, if we go back to it, because that's kind of a bit of a debate here. We know we need attacking players, right? But do Spurs need more numbers, or do they need like a Tonali level statement signing in the attack? And if De Zerbi is using the words top players, what level should we actually expect? So is it quality or is it quantity? And guys in the chat, let us know. And Ian, go off with that one.
Okay, probably the only player that Spurs would have a chance of getting, if you're talking about top players, they normally play for the top clubs. Bayern Munich, forget Kane. He's not coming back. Barcelona, Ferran Torres is going to PSG, I think. Real Madrid, you've got Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. They're not coming to Spurs. PSG, wouldn't they, you know, they'd laugh. Those boys are not coming to Spurs. So what you've got to do, we didn't have an overseas recruitment and setup that was of the quality that we needed. This will now change, hopefully, with Chris Ramsey coming in. But it's not going to help us in this window.
So is that why they're going Prem players? Is this another reason why we're focusing on Prem rather than abroad?
Yeah, that's one reason. The other reason, I think, Dan, is that the board have backed him with big money. So De Zerbi is going to be under pressure. You don't just say we bought 3 players, we spent 237 million. There's another 200 million if you buy another 3 players. That's nearly up to Liverpool's 445 from last year. So if they buy the 3 strikers, he'll be under pressure. You know, if you're a boss and you're giving a manager that money, and that guy's spending it, then he's under pressure to perform. So I'm sure De Zerbi's looked at that and thought, hang on, I need players that are going to come in and start playing, going to hit the ground running. And I'll just give two examples of players that came across from the German Bundesliga last season and took months and months to settle in. One's their own Xavi Simons, and the other one is Liverpool's Florian Wirtz. And Wirtz they paid 116 million.
Yeah.
And it took him months and months to settle in. De Zerbi's got to hit the ground running. He needs to get going, you know. And so he's buying players who know the Premier League. And everyone he's bought so far is from the Premier League. So for me, you know, even for a reserve keeper like Dubravka, who was playing first team Premier League last season with Burnley, so he's trying to minimise and mitigate any risk that we have. Obviously, he's not been helped with pre-season, with the injuries, with the World Cup, but he gets through to players. Players want to play for him. You know, he's got charisma. He's got that magic. Players want to run through brick walls for De Zerbi, and I think we'll get more out of certain players. Morgan Gibbs-White, do you honestly think Marinakis will let him and Anderson go in the same window?
No,
can't see it.
I don't think so. I think he's key for them, isn't he? He's key for Glasner, and Glasner's a good manager who's going to have ambition next season. You don't want to lose another one.
That's right. Diaz from Real Madrid isn't a bad shout, but we don't know how we do in the Premier League. You know, would he come in and sort of slot in like a top striker does, or would he be like another Vincent Janssen who scored goal, and Soldado who scored goals for fun in Holland and Spain but didn't score in the Premier League? You know, there's plenty of players that have come in that do well from abroad. Remember, 68% of the Premier League is foreign, come from abroad, but there's plenty that don't. And I think De Zerbi really needs to hit the ground running. So that's why
Ian,
we're going for Prem players.
So kind of where you went with that, you're thinking not a top player. You're looking at kind of two or three Gakpo, Savinho level players,
Yeah,
which are not the top players,
correct.
which will come in and, you know, the fans are going to put the name on the back of the shirt, like Tom mentioned earlier in the chat. You're talking about maybe, you know, the level below top players.
Yeah.
Gakpo, I mean, you know, and then we've had this thing the whole summer. They're better than what we got. It's got to be a little bit more than that. It's better than what we got. Can they fit the system? Are they actually going to make a difference?
Yeah.
Are they going to grab the goals, assists that this team desperately needs? So it's an interesting one. I'll go to the chat. Let's have a look and see what the chat is saying about this question as well. Let me scroll down, keep up with the chat and see what people are saying. Hold on a second, nearly there. So many comments. Big up to everyone tonight. I hope everyone's well, enjoying the show. So Daryl says, as it stands, this lot, if you stay fit, get 65 goals. We need another 20 goals. Yeah, if we're going to push up that lead, Daryl, I think you're 100% right there. Evening to David Clock in the chat. Hope you're good. Does anyone know the score of the players? Yeah, we went over it earlier. David, it was 2-1 to Spurs. Got Danny in the chat. Evening, Danny. Lubo, did you hear about Harry Kane was decided yesterday? I'd leave Lubo to say anything there if he wants.
Kane's not joining, Danny, unfortunately. That would have been amazing, wouldn't it? But he's not joining. I think he'll be signing again for Bayern. He's staying in Munich.
Yeah, is that all you want to say about that? You know,
there's nothing more to say, is there?
Nothing more to say. Fair enough.
He's not coming back.
No, he's not coming. Nico in the chat. Evening to you. Alvarez ? Top player, isn't he? Top player. Not great record of goals, I've got to say. You know, if you look at his goals and assists, but we know what sort of player he is. Quality player. You'd take him. You'd snap your hand off, wouldn't you, to take him?
You would. I'd looked at that and think, well, if Simeone wants Romero, let's put the two together and do some sort of deal. That for me, that would have been ideal. And Romero with Ferran Torres before we heard he was probably going to PSG, you know, with Barcelona. So, but I still think Romero will end up in Madrid with Atletico.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not Arsenal, like all the drama we've had today.
No, not Arsenal.
I don't want to go there, man. There were some crazy debates today about that.
No,
anyway,
I can't see it. I can't see it.
No, that'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? Yeah, a long discussion. I'm not doing it. Ron, evening to you, everyone. I hope you're good, man. Bomber might just mean that's end of. Goodbye. So it says Bomber may well up being an anticlimax. It may be because what that signing is, you might say people say the Bomber's Gakpo, and for me that's not a Bomber. Good player, you know. I wanted to go. I think if it's someone like him, Gakpo, Savinho, we need another one. I think really, if we want to be serious next season, we need three. If it's those two,
I think if you're looking for a top striker, one that's going to guarantee you goals, then I think you don't look any further than Osimhen.
Yeah.
And you know, if Spurs were to go for him and get him, then that would be your Bomber.
Yeah, definitely would be. And I think he's gettable. I think was it 65 million. Obviously, he's want big wages, big signing on feel. But if you want ambition, if you want to, you know, win games of football and quality, there you go. Yeah, he's got it, isn't he? He's definitely got it. David Clark says we need a statement signing in a forward line, £80 million player and wages of 250 week upwards. So Dave is indicating he wants a big signing up top. Steve saying, even Steve, they need a minimum of Gakpo, Savinho. I hate pronouncing this guy's name.
Mikatadze.
Mikatadze, cheers, Ian. Or Enric, the big bomber would be Morgan Gibbs-White. I think so. Yeah, I think that would be a bomber. I think with his output last season, good player, can play in multiple positions. English makes a lot of sense. The guy Mikatadze, he's an ideal forward. Mikatadze, he's the ideal forward for De Zerbi. He's got the technical ability, different shooting angles, can play on the left, can play centre forward. I mean, the only thing is can he do that in the Premier League? But I like him. I do like that player. I think he would be good at Spurs. And again, he would be one of the three coming in for me because he's not a bomber. But a very interesting player. Sheriff says we got more peas than bird's eye quality. Quality. And Peter in the chat saying Spence plus 50 million for Isaac. Isaac had a poor season, didn't he, last year? Didn't really hit off. What was the reason? Was he injured? Didn't he have an injury?
He had an injury. He had an injury. Took him time to get started, and as soon as he did, he got hit by Van de Ven at our place.
Yeah,
and did ligaments, and that was him out for months. The one I would want is Ekatike out of him and Isak.
He outshone him, didn't he?
I'd love him at Spurs.
Yeah. I liked Isaac in Newcastle. Yeah, he's done us many times, didn't he?
Yeah,
I remember that. Vindaloo, evening to you, Bomber lads. You sure you never had a curry last night? Scott says 2 players, even top quality, isn't enough. Yeah, Scott, there's a lot of work to do, man. There's a lot of work to do in this squad. Carl, go on, Ian.
I think when De Zerbi came in, when he kept us up, he actually said there's 10 or 12 players here that I want to keep, which means he's got like up to 18 players to replace. So you can't get 18 players in one window. So he's got 6 already. If he gets a couple of strikers, that's 8. That's pretty good out of 18. Then you're going to get the turnover of players next season when he sees who can play his system and who doesn't. So I think the transfer window for Spurs is going to be a busy one for a few years. And you hope that in 2 or 3 years' time, he's sitting looking at a really good squad that's been assembled probably for big money. Most of them are on big wages. But we've got a team that are going to compete at the top. And I think that's where hopefully we get to. But it's going to take time. I think people have just got to be patient. Everyone's fed up with the underachievement. I understand that. Everyone's impatient because we've underachieved for so long as a big club. But unfortunately, our impatience isn't going to change things. And if you're rebuilding a club, it's going to take years. It's going to take absolutely years. You know, for me, we've had 25 years of neglect. You can't put it right in. It's not going to take 25 months. It's going to take longer. But hopefully now we'll get there.
Yeah, we do. I want to say thank you to Jessica for 200 joules in the chat. Jamin, thank you so much, Jessica. Much appreciated. Thank you, Cookie, earlier as well for your joules as well. I don't know what these joules. I need to look into it, but thank you so much. I will look into what the joules means, what it's all about. Ian, you know about joules?
No idea.
It's Ian's channel, Tottenham Touchline. Go and give him a sub if you haven't already. Go and check him out there if you can. Thank you very much. There's the link. The link's also in the description as well. Big up to Scott in the chat as well. Big up to you, mate. Big up to Jeff as well. 40% is still unfinished, he said. So we need at least 3 signings. 100% agree with you. Four. Yeah, if you're doing the maths.
Yeah,
that'd be mad. Waffles in the chat. Evening to you. We could afford Osman wages. We certainly could. 100% agree with you there. There's just a few more comments to see if there's any other strikers. Someone says Tony. I don't think he's coming. I've got to be honest, guys. There's been no connections with him. He's got some kind of police charge going on at the moment, I think, as well. I read the other day.
Yeah,
we got Future Bright. Future's Lily White. Guys. Osman is 325k a week. We would have to pay him 500k a week to match his current pay. not a chance. We are dreaming. So a little bit of realism there, maybe you could call it, but you know,
I disagree. I think if they wanted him enough, I do think they'd pay it.
I hope so, man. We should be going for him. Really should be. I hope we get him in. I really do. That will really excite me as a fan. And we got Scott Spur in the chat. Lubo is God. There you go, mate. Bit of love to you there, mate.
Thank you very much. Too much pressure there.
Look, we've got Shotgun in the chat as well. Shotgun in. How you doing, man? Shotgun is worried here. We're in deep shit with this forward line. If we go into the season with it, I expect us to get some. We have to get some. Shotgun. Simple as that. And we got FS, ANC, Agent Romero, Arsenal. Look, yeah, we're not going there. And Danny's saying that Osherman is the one. The ball is in Spurs court. Look, big up, guys, for your comments. Let's move this on. Let me just take this down, and we're going to move on to the next part of the show. Yes, where are we now? Let's have a look now. What we're going to move on to now is the buying and the selling. De Zerbi's transfer philosophy. And Ian, you've read the interviews, haven't you, mate? Yeah, I just want to make sure. Normally, you're up to speed with things. You've heard the interviews, haven't you, from De Zerbi in the last? Yeah, you're pretty good. So okay, so De Zerbi gives us a pretty clear idea of how he believes a top club should be operating the transfer market. Yeah. He says, "I think the top clubs, and this is a quote from him: the top clubs are not worried about selling players, and then right place, you don't have to be shy." And then let's take us straight to Vukovic, right? 19 years old, one of a highly rated centre-backs in Europe, and Tottenham sold him for what? Initial 46 million? I think that's right. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. If I'm out by a couple of mil, without him making a Premier League appearance. So, importantly, De Zerbi says that decision was made together with Vinay and Lange. He isn't saying Vukovic isn't good enough. His point is even the biggest clubs sell talented players if they believe the price is right and the deal makes sense for the wider squad. So I'll put this to the panel, really. Vukovic for 46 million. Is that the sort of ruthless decision a top club should make, or Tottenham should end up, or will Tottenham end up regretting selling a player with that much potential? Guys, just quickly, and Ian, yours thoughts, and people in the chat. Vukovic, good decision, bad decision? Any thoughts on it, mate?
I wanted him kept. I thought, well, send him to Brighton for a year's loan, because we're playing one game a week. He's not going to get game time. You've seen that with Van Heck and Senesi coming in. So, and I thought keep him, maybe in a couple of years' time, he'll be £100 million player. But I've come round to the other way of thinking now. And people said, no, you're wrong. If he doesn't fit De Zerbi's system, sell him. And they were right. If De Zerbi doesn't think he can play the way he wants to play, we paid 11 million for him. It's a nice profit. You turn 11 million into 46. It's a good profit. I think there's a 20% sell on any profit that Brighton make when they sell him on. And Spurs could match it if they wanted to. If we had a different manager at the time, for argument's sake, where Vuskovic suited the style of play, they could go in and maybe compete there, depending on where we were at that time. So, yeah, good business. Very good business.
Look, let's just kind of look at it a little bit away, and then I'm going to go to the chat. And there is obviously a bigger question to this. It's not just about Vukovic. Why didn't the club maybe demote or sell Danso and have him as a backup, as a right centre-back if Romero is going? Was there a proper chance to do that next season?
He wanted game time, Dan.
Mm-hmm. He wanted first team. He wanted to start.
First team football. Saying?
Yeah. He wanted the guaranteed start.
Football. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, that's what he wanted, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the end, it was.
Sure.
Look, there was a bit of uproar from the certain section of the fan base when he was the talk of selling him. A lot of people were really looking forward to him playing for Spurs. I get that, the disappointment, but people move on, don't they? I think it's a good bit of business. I really do. That does worry me, though, cover for right centre-back, though, when Romero goes, because Danso cannot do what Van Heck does. Thoughts on that, Ian? And we'll go to the chat as well about all of this.
We've got two very good centre-backs in the academy. Two very, very good players. You've got Malachi Hardy, who's shown up very well on the pre-season tour, and you've got Junai Byfield, who played 2 or 3 cameos last season, Champions League, and I think there was one Premier League game he played. These two players are going to be tip-top players.
And are they more De Zerbi type players than Vukovic was? Because there was questions around Vukovic passing out from the back. You know, there was some question marks on him, although a very talented player, and I'm sure he's going to go on and do well in his career. Maybe just wasn't the right fit for what De Zerbi wanted. He could have grown into it, of course, coaching and time.
Maybe, but listen, at the end of the day, he wanted first-team football. He played first-team football in Croatia at 16, Belgium in 17, and Germany at 18. He didn't want to come and be fourth or fifth choice centre-back at Spurs.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was a fait accompli, really. So it was just a question of getting the best possible deal. I think it's good business. You know, listen, you buy someone for 11, sell for 46, and he's never even played for the club. You reinvest that money into
and there's a buy on. Is there any kind of clauses as well added to that? I can remember there was something, wasn't it?
20% profit, 20% of the profit, and Spurs can match it. Spurs can match any offer that comes in.
Yeah. Okay.
So with a shout. So.
No, I'm for it in the end. I get it. The guy doesn't want to stay and fight for his place. He wants first team football. Decision had to be made, and it got done, didn't it? Done quickly. But let's go to the chat and see what people are thinking about this subject here. Let's just go down a bit. Keep up with the chat. Hold on a second. Scott, big up to you, Scott. How you doing? They aren't ready for first team football. Fair enough.
Not yet. But you've got them. You got them like the fifth and sixth players, and they're there. They're not ready yet for the first team. Byfield came in and did well when he played. So if you did hit a big injury crisis, then these boys could come in, sit on the bench. And listen, you can only use what you've got. You can't have 5 or 6 centre backs if you're playing 2 at the back with 1 game a week. So, you know, you're looking at it, and depending on how he plays, if he's going to play 4 at the back, he might start with Van Heck and Van der Ven. No place for Senesi. Senesi can't get in. Danso's further back. So where's Vuskovic going to get a game? So, but if you've got the kids that are there, they're playing under 21 football, so they're at the club, and they're there in the event of an emergency. So, you know, the club's got to be careful. We've lost 10 to 15 European games this season, so there aren't the games that De Zerbi can play. And if you look at the teams that played 1 game a week last season, most of them kept to the same 11, 12, 13 players every week, subject to injuries and suspensions. So he's not going to. I don't think De Zerbi's going to play around and start rotating in the league this season.
No,
I don't see it.
No, it's not the games, is there? Unless injuries happen. Let's go chat. Cole says, I think the Lancashire sell is the bigger mistake. Agree with that, Ian?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I would have moved Scarlett on before Lancashire for sure.
Just can't get rid of him, can they? They just can't get rid of Scarlett. He's been here for God knows how long. How old is he now, Scarlett? He must be
He's only, I think he's 22.
He's only 22. Of course, it feels like he's been around forever.
Yeah.
Evening to David in the chat. I hope you're good. We have an option on matching rights. I think that's what we've done is spot on. This way he will get time playing, and we have money now. Yeah, look, makes a lot of sense. More money for us to buy players as well. And it's a whole thing, isn't it? In, you know, selling players. If you buy players, you've got to sell players as well. All the rules and everything like that. So you've got to do both. Danny says, and nobody's offering what Spurs will give him in as a sign. I think he's talking about Osman. There's a big chat going on in the chat about Osman. Evening, Scott. I've said hello to you already. We got I think it's Harold in the chat. Evening to you. Vukovic, okay to sell. De Zerbi got his centre backs. Fair enough. So he's okay with that.
Correct. Yeah.
And Jeff says, didn't want to be here. Too slow for De Zerbi system. Yeah, this is what I just said, didn't I? Made sense to sell for the right price for a player who never played for us. It is a good deal, Jeff. It is a good deal. There's no doubt about it. Not even played 1 Premier League game, and I mean, we've never seen Spurs doing that sort of business before, have we? With any kind of young player with potential. Yeah. So, yeah, when you look back at it, he's gone to Brighton. I guess he'll be starting at Brighton. I don't know if anyone's seen him play pre-season, if he's had a game yet. To be honest, I don't know.
He'll
I
probably
don't
take Van Heck's place, I would have thought, and he'll play next to Lewis Dunk at the back.
know. Yeah, probably will. Scott is in agreement that Vukovic sale was very smart business by the club. Yep,
Yeah,
it was. Let's have a little look here. So any other comments around our kind of recruitment in the chat here? Just going down there. David says ultimately it's what De Zerbi wants that matters, and we trust him, and that's what he wants. He would have signed off on the sale. Yeah, fair enough. He was well involved in it, wasn't he?
yeah,
Well involved in it. You know, we've heard what De Zerbi said, isn't it? Like, what is it in? You might be able to say it a little bit better than me, but he says, what about when he says a player, if they want to go, or he's not saying he wants them to stay? It's got something to do with a player that is invested in Spurs,
that's
wants to
right.
fight for their place, wants to show it, I guess, in training. They've got motivation to prove De Zerbi. Maybe they're not like a guaranteed first start or something like that, but they can fight their way into the side next season. He wants that attitude. He wants players not looking elsewhere, not saying, I have to have first team football. And I think he's going about it in a very clever way, Ian. Do you say,
Yes,
you know what I mean?
listen. We all want commitment from the owners, don't we? We all want that 100% commitment towards the football side, and he wants the same from his players. It's no different to what the fans want, and it's 100% correct. He doesn't want players that don't give a damn whether they play or not. He wants players that are hungry to play. You know, you've got to have competition for each position, ideally. So the guy in the team is kept on his toes. We've had a first 11, barring injury, with players that are too comfortable, players that will play week in, week out, and players who are more deserving get left on the bench. You know, because managers have their favourites. I don't
Hmm.
think De Zerbi's like that. For him, if you're not playing, you're out. Someone else will get a chance, and he wants players. You know, it's difficult. You know, when you start off first couple of games, you're on the bench. Maybe you're not getting game time. You're thinking, oh, this is no good. But football changes all the time. Players get injured. Players get suspended. You're playing against different opposition that require different tactics. So you're going to change the team. You're going to rotate slightly. If you've got someone like a Saka, you need Spence there marking him. Spence is very good on a one-on-one. We've seen how Spence has played Saka out the game. He played Salah out the game the other year. So tactics change. Players come in. Players might come in, play that well that they keep their place. So that's what he wants. He wants a hungry squad. You know, the top clubs that win the trophies don't have these issues particularly. The players are in, and they're all committed, whether they play 2,000 minutes or 4,000 minutes in a season.
Yeah.
And that's what De Zerbi's trying to build to.
Yeah, it makes total sense here and what you said there. And a couple more things I'm going to add in a second. And Rob, you said see them holding on to Dansil till next summer. I think so, right? We qualify for Europe and then we probably upgrade. You know,
Yeah,
I totally get that.
yeah,
Youth can be the fourth choice centre half, and this is it, isn't it? Going back to that discussion, players like Spence probably wants first team football. But I've heard, would only kind of be interested if it's a particular club,
yeah,
if he's going to go or not. And then we got the same thing with Bergvall, isn't it? He wanted out. I don't know if a decision's been made yet. Wasn't there with Bergvall? I think De Zerbi's added a good look at him. He's had some game time in
yeah.
pre-season. Hasn't impressed me particularly, got to be honest. In this pre-season, Bergvall, I don't know. Where are you at with Bergvall, Ian? Remind me, mate. I can't remember.
I think there's potential there. I'd loan him out for the year. The problem is that when you look at the players that go out on loan, they haven't played 78 games in the last two seasons for the first team. They're all kids that might maybe played the odd appearance. So if you've played that many games over 2 years, do you want to go out on loan? Do you? Is it like? Do you feel a bit? I'm not sure if insulted is the right word, but it's like they don't really want me. They're not, bring me back in. When there's Europe, I think Bergvall needs a loan. I thought his first season was much better than his second season. There are various reasons. He's had 4 managers. He's had injuries. He's had concussion. He's had a totally dysfunctional team to play in. And when kids come in to a Premier League club, normally they've got 9 or 10 solid professionals around them. Normally they're playing in a team that is playing to a reasonable standard, that's in reasonable form. And Bergval's not had any of that. But by the same token, he doesn't. For me, he's behind. You look at Tonali and Fernandes, your top two. Then you've got Gallagher and Bentancur. Then you've got Gray. So for me, they're your five. We don't need any more, central midfield players. So for me, I would loan Bergval, but I think they'll end up selling him. As far as Spence is concerned, it was interesting. Not only Spence, but Porro as well. We saw those two play in the World Cup semi-finals 2 nights running, and they both played on a level that was much higher than what we've seen at Spurs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure De Zerbi will look at that and think, do you know what, if I can get them to recreate that level at our club. See, I'd sell Udogie, I'd play Spence possibly at left back.
Yeah,
That's what I do.
We were talking about the left back situation earlier. We didn't even mention Spence, did we?
No,
because I see him as a right back. He's a right back. That's him, isn't it? He's a right back, and we never plays right back. He hasn't had a clear run in the squad, in the team, playing right back more than 1 or 2 games in a row. Has he? It's time at Spurs.
But you look at how he played against Argentina in that semi-final.
Yeah.
I thought it was superb.
Yeah, he did well in the World Cup, Spence. He was really good. Defensively, I mean, didn't he win a penalty? It was in that game, isn't it? That third place game, wasn't it? But yeah, look, Spence, interesting one, really. And from a player perspective, he wants to be playing every week, right? He impressed in the World Cup, raised a lot of people. When he was chosen for England, a lot of England fans thought, why is he going? Why is he even in there? He's terrible.
That's right.
He got Spurs relegated, and then he's kind of proved a few people wrong.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an awkward one, that Spence, because
there's no way I don't really
know where to say it. Really,
Dan,
what?
Udogie's injury prone. Yeah. Robertson's there probably for leadership. He's coming towards the end of his career. He's not the future. Sousa's a young kid, and you got Spence that's been brilliant for England in the World Cup. Why would you keep the other 3? Or put Spence at number 4 and sell him. It doesn't make sense.
And if they are going to sell him, I want a good fee for him. I want a good fee, and then we need to go and get another right back as cover, don't we, for Porro?
Yeah.
So interesting stuff. Sonny, evening to you. 1,000 jewels. Cheers, man. Goat trophy. Appreciate the jewels, mate. Thank you very much.
Now, Dan, are these jewels like sort of vouchers that you end up getting a free trip to Barbados? Is it one of those?
I hope so, because I could do with a trip to Barbados. I'm not going away this year. First time for a long time. So, yeah, I need to. Yeah, Barbados. Hey. Stop it. I bet you're going away. Ian, have you been away? Are you going away?
I've been.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go, mate? Portugal. Where? The usual?
Usual.
Yeah.
That usual.
Yeah.
Been a nice break.
Its weather's been fantastic, isn't it? UK this summer, been a mad summer.
Been
one
fantastic.
Of the best. Yeah.
In fact, when we were in Portugal, the weather here was hotter.
Was it?
It was in the 90s here.
Mad. Yeah, too hot, but you can't complain, can you? Waffle says we need a half Kane replacement. Kane is the perfect striker, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
For us. We've wanted to give us everything we need, but he's not coming. Dane exhausted loan development. Then he regressed. Time to sell Dane, especially when his exemption on the roster is over. He will be moved on. I think he will be moved on. Let's see if there's any other chat around our kind of recruitment strategy. Can't really see any. Big up to everyone. Smash the like if you could. No, let's carry on. If there's any more, if I miss something, I might bring it up in the chat a little bit more in the show. Let's carry on with the De Zerbi chat. Look, this transfer window, how it's going so far, right? And he said this, right? He said, when you have to spend money, this is what is quoted and said. He goes, you have to do that strong. You've got to do it fast. You've got to do it quick. The right player, the right investment. He's talking about how Tottenham should behave when they identify the right player.
Yeah.
be strong in the decision, move quickly, get the deal done. But I think there is a bigger debate around what we're seeing from Tottenham this summer, right? Because some fans will look at Tonali, Fernandes, and the money Spurs have spent and say, this is finally Tottenham behaving like a big club. Others will say this. And I'm a little bit like this as well. They've had no choice. They finished 17th, nearly got relegated. Ian, you said it as well. And some of these fees may be more than, we've overpaid for the likes of Tonali and Fernandes. We have, but it's the market. And for me, there is still a lot more to prove. We still need to see Spurs finish this, this attacking signings. And we still need to see whether the club could be more ruthless on moving players on who have been here long enough and likely to take De Zerbi where he wants the team to go. So the next kind of question is, what would actually convince you that Tottenham's transfer strategy has genuinely changed? Is it how much money they spent, the level of player they bring in, or being ruthless enough to move players on when they're no longer good enough? And one more little question onto this as well. Where is the line between being decisive, like De Zerbi wants, and simply overpaying because you're desperate to get the deals done? There's lots of breakdown there, Ian. So you can start with that one, and then we'll go to the chat. Because if you look at Tonali and Fernandes, right, they're completely different, have completely different opinions on whether Tottenham has shown ambition or paid a premium. So interesting, Ian. Give us your thoughts, buddy.
If you're spending that sort of money and those sort of wages, then nobody can say you're not showing ambition. What is ambition? You're spending what 200. You spent 92.5 plus 7.5 for potential add-ons for Tonali. You're putting 250 grand a week into his bin for wages. 5-year deal. Fernandes, 85, and I think something like 200 a week. Then you look at Van Heck on 52 million. Only a year left on his contract, plus probably high wages as well. I think I worked out, give or take, the investment on transfer fees and wages for those 3 players alone over 5 years is 400 million, which is 80 million a year just on those 3 players.
Mad, isn't it? Mad money.
On fees and wages. That's showing ambition. How can you say if that's not showing ambition, then what is?
But then the counter argument is the club had to do it because they nearly got relegated.
But they didn't. They didn't have to spend 400 million on 3 players.
Well,
they could have spent 200 million on 3 players.
Yeah, I get that. But if that's the going rate as well, isn't it? It's the Tonali. Ian, you probably, and I don't think any Spurs fan thought Tonali was ever an option coming to Spurs, right? I know there's the connection with De Zerbi and the player.
Yeah,
but that sort of thing is what Spurs haven't done, right? Go to another Premier League type and bring one of their best players. And I like that. I really did like that. And after we got Fernandes, I was like, okay, got Fernandes. Is Tonali coming? Is that right? It was Fernandes first, wasn't it? And it was like, okay, great. We got Fernandes. Yeah, I like him. Probably overpaid a bit, but I've kind of really looked into the player, what he does, what he can offer. Very talented player. And then we did close the deal with Tonali, which I was just like, what's going on here? What is happening?
It never happened under Levy, did it?
No, it didn't.
Listen,
there's definitely a change.
There is. Now, we can say it's a change this summer because you're just talking factually. We don't know what's going to go on in the future. Are they going to carry on spending or are they going to revert back to type? We don't know. All we can do, Dan, is we can just comment on where we are at the moment and what's been going on. So far, so good. But if we're talking about the window in general, De Zerbi said that he's 60% of the way through. So if he's 60% of the way there and he's brought 6 players in, then he's got another 4 to get. So, yeah.
Well, he didn't say 4, he said 3, hopefully, definitely 2, didn't he? That's the way he was talking. So he wants 3, he wants it. If you're going to get it, that seems to be the tough one at the moment.
We'll see. I do think, going back to your original question, Dan, he is ruthless. He's clearing players out. There's players leaving too. There's a couple of players leaving every week at the moment. Whether they're out on loan or they're being sold. In the last 7-10 days, Lancashire's gone. Phillips has gone. Solomon's gone.
Who's next? Romero's next, isn't it? Romero,
Probably
then it's going to be
Romero,
Vicario.
Vicario, maybe Sarr. You know, but players are going. The kid Reece Russell Denny, who's highly rated, who we got from Chelsea, he's gone out on loan to Bristol Rovers. Devine left, he's gone. You know, Vuskovic went, Dragerson went. He's clearing players out. It's just like, right, they're not for me, out. He's not messing about. I think there'll be quite a few going. I think he had a squad of 35 and only 25 places. So
Yeah.
there's quite a few to go.
Look, let's go to the chat and get them involved in this conversation here. Dave, he says, I believe we can go and get Thiago from Brentford. He's an upgrade on what we have. Thiago, I mean, 22 goals, wasn't it, in the Premier League last season? A lot of penalties.
Season.
Yeah. He has scored goals, though, throughout his career. I've had a look at it. He has scored. He always scores goals wherever he played. I mean, the season before we got an injury, so when he signed for Brentford, didn't see him. There's questions over his technical quality. You know, has he got that touch? Has he got? Is he good enough technically? I don't know. I just think a player like Thiago, I think it was doable, wasn't it? A lot earlier in the window. I think if that was a key target, I think we would have already got him in.
I think the important thing to think about when you're looking at an upgrade for a forward is who was the first person that De Zerbi went for and the style of play. And that was Krupi from Bournemouth. And Igor Thiago is a completely different player to Krupi. He wanted a Thierry Henry type, Thierry Henry style forward.
He wanted
that
a
moves,
finisher, a finisher.
That's a finisher, that's fluid. He's not looking for that. He's not looking for that target man. He's got Solanke. If he keeps him, if he's not too injury prone. So I don't think he's looking. He's not going to go for an upgrade on Solanke. I think he'll go for a Krupi type striker. So that's where he's going.
No, I get where you're coming from there. We need a finisher. We need a quality finisher, someone who's because there's going to be games next season, Ian, where it's going to be hard games, tough games, and you need that clinical person to put them away. We will create lots of chances, but with Solanke, with Charlison, they're not clinical enough. I've got to be honest. And none of our players that currently in that forward line get enough goals. They don't. It's simple as that. So, we've got to bring them in. Alfie, make an interesting comment here. Donnelly can be loaned out yet, either as he might be used as number 10, currently behind Gallagher and Williams Barnett. So this is for Alfie. This is where he thinks he stands on the pecking order.
I don't think he
Donnelly
behind Gallagher. I agree. Not behind Williams Barnett. I think everyone's got to take time out with Williams Barnett. He looks to be a fabulous talent, but I think we saw against Chelsea in the friendly, they were dispossessing him like, taking candy off a baby. It was too easy. And he was playing balls just blind. He lost possession quite a bit. He's going to be a fabulous talent, and they've got to nurture him properly and look after him. But you cannot throw. He's just not ready to throw into the Premier League. He's still a way off.
And Donnelly, there's questions over his speed
pace.
or something like pace.
That's
good
the
on
problem.
the ball, technically good. Yeah,
technically he's a lovely player. Has he got the pace for the Premier League? That's the question, and that's the question mark.
Where was he today? We could have played, right?
I don't know. Maybe
where was he?
Maybe did he play in the other game?
I can't remember, but I'm sure someone will remind us. But yeah, if I don't know. He came on, didn't he, against Chelsea? Involved in the goal. His shot hit the posts, and then we got Richarlison followed it in late on.
He'll have a really good career. He's a lovely footballer, very skillful player. Whether he's got it or not for the Premier League, I don't know. I'd love to see him make it, but I think the question mark has always been over his pace.
And he didn't do amazing on loan, right? Last season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, he didn't get a chance at Stoke. He didn't. I think he played 90 minutes up to September. Then he didn't play at all till the end of December. Then he played for Oxford. First game got injured, came back and was instrumental in a run that they had that nearly avoided relegation. And him and Lancashire were really good. Were really good team for Oxford.
Yeah, I
So
remember. Yeah.
the back end of last season, he did really well, but the rest of the year was a bit of a waste, unfortunately. Previous year at Orient, he was superb, but that was 2 levels down. So you
Do you
can't
think
really
you could
go.
get a loan to a Premier League side? Do you think there's one there, newly promoted team, somebody that could take and have a look at him, Championship?
Maybe, maybe a Coventry, a Hull, Ipswich, maybe
Someone who
one of
plays attacking
those.
football,
Yeah,
plays on the ball. Need a number 10 player. I don't know, but this is all to do with the whoever makes these decisions at the club, and that is
you know,
falling on who now? Ian, is that Lange, the young players still? Is he
no,
or
no. I think that's Stuart Lewis who heads up the academy with De Zerbi.
so it'll be him sitting down with him trying to work out
Yeah,
what to do with him. Okay, fair enough. Just going to the chat, Scott. Thiago's another slanky one season. Good so far. Question over him, and then a question about Bergvall. More
correct.
for the question about it. Bergvall is not a 10, playing from a deeper position, enables him to carry the ball, which is his strength as an 8, but
Yeah,
has to add goals and assists to the match. So yeah, Bergvall, and a lot of people say runs around like a headless chicken. Yeah, they don't think he's particularly good technically. Doesn't score, doesn't assist. What does he do, this guy? I don't know, Bergwell. We'll see what happens with him. To be honest, if he is sold, I wouldn't be really that bothered. I think we've got players in the academy that can come through. People like Williams Barnett. I know
yeah.
he's not the same player, but there've got to be other midfielders in there. What about that guy who played at left back who's a midfielder? People are talking about him a lot. Rio, yeah.
Kia Retterman
Yeah.
looked very good against Chelsea, didn't he? Looked
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And he's versatile. He's a midfield player that was playing at fullback
Mm-hmm.
on the tour abroad. So he's good.
There's talent
He's
there,
good.
isn't there, in that youth
Yeah, no, there
academy?
is.
Harold says, I was certain Bergvall would be sold. He has been well below par, yet there's a certain amount of hype surrounding him. I agree with Lubo regarding a loan or sale, provided there's a good offer. Yeah, something's got to be resolved with that. But Bergvall,
Yeah.
we need to know. Let's just go to the chat, see if there's anything more about what we were talking about in the last question. Let me just scroll down a bit, guys. Bear with us. See if there's any points I want to bring up. Rain's in the chat. Evening, Rain. Hope you're good, man. Evening all. Hope everyone's well. David's going on about Gallagher. Gallagher, for me, I've got a lot to prove. Not sure about him myself. Gallagher is a player that helped us back into Europe. The fan base needs to have the same trust all his previous managers had. I agree he's not a guaranteed starter, but he's still a solid pro for us. Solid pro, yeah. Experience, yes. Can he do what De Zerbi wants? Yes, pressing he can do. Is he good enough technically on the ball? Does he have the defense splitting pass? No. But what he does have is a lot of running. He's like a better Saar, isn't he? Do you know what I mean, Ian?
Oh,
I would say,
he's a much
yeah,
better star.
he's a better Saar. He's homegrown. He has got experience. I don't know where he really fits in, because I want the number 10 to be creative. I want them to be, the killer passes, that breaking down the low blocks, that excitement. And he's not that. He's more of a workhorse type player. We'll have to wait and see next season, Ian, with Gallagher. I think you're a fan, aren't you, mate? You're a bit of a fan of him, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I like Gallagher. Listen, Pochettino had him as his captain, and people I know that have all got friends who are Chelsea fans are all gutted that he left, and even more gutted that he ended up at Spurs.
Yeah.
Listen, Pochettino wanted him, Simeone wanted him, De Zerbi likes him. These are not idiots. These managers are not idiots. They know a player, and I think he'll have a lot of game time this season. Players get injured.
And I think as well, he came into a mess, didn't he?
Oh, totally.
He came into a mess.
I personally, I think he's underrated by the Spurs fan base. I really do.
Well, I'm willing to give him another go, really. I mean, I'm not going to just put it all down on that 6 months he was there, because it was a shit show.
It was
Absolute
awful,
shit show, wasn't it? And I need to see a bit more from him, but we'll see we'll see how he gets on. Russell, evening to you, Russell. No Simmons, or it might be morning for you, actually. No. Yeah, early morning for you, mate. I think you just be getting up now. I think no Simmons or Madison now. Problem 2. This is it. This is it. Creativity.
It doesn't help,
think,
does it?
No. Simmons December. I heard, Ian, or you heard something different, or you thinking next year with Simmons coming back?
I think January.
January, yeah, probably more safe option, right?
Yeah.
Ryan says about there's no chance Donnelly gets a good loan to a Premiership side. There's so much cash to buy players with experience. He will be third choice at best. Yeah, totally get it, Ryan. I mean, for me, I would want that to happen. You know, I would want him to play at a better level to see if he can do it. But you're probably right. He's probably gone more likely Championship. Let's go for any other comments in there before we move on. No, I think that'll be it. I'll try and get some more up shortly. Let's move along here. Let's go to the third section of the show, Ian. Let's go to the third section and what I want to talk about next. Let me just get some information ready for you all. Okay, so the next section is the De Zerbi factor, right? He's helping getting these deals done. And this is crucial still to play in the transfer window, right? There's still work to be done, and we're going to need him. So I thought it was very fascinating here. I know we've had managers in the past making the personal phone calls to players. It's nothing new here, but we have been shared a lot of information about this, and I don't know why. Ian, you might have an explanation yourself, but we look at Tonali. He helped that go through, right? Fernandez. Yeah, he speaks to his parents. Van Heck, he knows him, messaging him after the Everton game. He says, what does he say? The player knows you are the key for this transfer. So I think he's basically saying, if I personally call you, right, and tell you I want you immediately, we have a relationship. So it's fascinating stuff. And the player knows the manager isn't just accepting the signing. The manager actually wants him. It's just madness. Yeah, it's just interesting stuff, isn't it, around football? And I'm sure it goes on in every club, but we've got knowledge of this. He's come out in interviews and said this stuff. So kind of a question for the panel, really. I mean, I think De Zerbi has been really leading this recruitment. I think he's the main guy, the main man. You could even call him in some way a massive weapon for Spurs, right? Because he is involved in all these transfers. Don't know about Dubravka. Robertson, we knew he was coming in anyway earlier because they were linked to in January, so he wasn't the main man for him. How important, Ian, do you think De Zerbi himself has been to this transfer window? And more importantly, could De Zerbi now help Tottenham attract players who perhaps they couldn't have got hold of before? And the chat as well get involved.
I think it's massive. If you've got a boss, I had a boss who was a mentor I worked for 9.5 years, and he was so good. He was so helpful. And taught me so much that you end up wanting to run through a brick wall for the guy, and you work long hours and you just push and you work as hard as you can. And it's the same in any job. And De Zerbi is that. De Zerbi's got charisma. Every quote you've heard from every Spurs player since De Zerbi joined has all been the same about how much they love him, how much he gets through to them. You mentioned before about Solanke, about stuff he said about Solanke. Now, he may not think Solanke long-term is the answer, but after Solanke's heard that quote, he'll walk out, he'll be 10 foot high. He'll be absolutely buzzing. He'll want to get on that pitch and do what he can for De Zerbi. And I think it's absolutely key. Pochettino had the same effect. Players just wanted to play for Poch. It just had that, it's like an aura, it's a magic, it's a charisma. You just want to play for that guy. And he lifts you. Harry Redknapp, in terms of motivation, once Harry got into a player, they would run through a brick wall for him. I mean, look what Redknapp did for Bale. Just one example. 1 minute he couldn't get a game, and when he was playing, I think we were 23 games without a win when Bale appeared at any time in the match, and all of a sudden he's turned him into the world's best winger. So it's so
Ian,
it's
you're taking
so
me
important,
back, mate. You're taking me back now. What memories, eh?
Yeah.
What memories that season, Bale Champions League under Harry Redknapp, man. They're probably one of the best times supporting the club. Oh, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff, wasn't it? Think back now. How long ago was that now, Ian? Over 10 years ago now, right?
Well, that match at the San Siro in November 2010.
15, isn't it? What years?
15 and a half years ago, nearly 16 years.
16 years, yeah.
We walked out of that ground and you wouldn't have believed we'd lost. It was like another 10 minutes, we'd have won it, we'd have scored 5. We had 10 men.
Madness.
For over 80 minutes. It was mental.
And then the return leg, wasn't it, in the group stage?
He just buried Maicon, didn't he? He just buried
taxi
it.
for Maicon. Memories, man. They were the nights. European nights at the Lane, eh?
Fantastic. Just fantastic. And that's what a top manager who a player wants to wants to run for. That's what, and the De Zerbi's doing the same with these players. You think where we came off the pitch at Forest, we'd been beaten 3-0, and it was like everybody thought we're done. We're absolutely done. Circumstances meant that Tudor went home and stayed at home, those tragic circumstances when his father died. They moved for De Zerbi. They probably offered him double what they offered him before they brought Tudor in, because De Zerbi had said no.
They definitely did.
And all of a sudden, we're not that easy team to beat. They're not rolling over. We only lost to Sunderland through they only had 2 shots on target the whole game, Sunderland, and we lost to a massive deflection, and it just went from there. And the players just ran through brick walls for him for 7 games, and they got the 11 points needed. So I think in terms of the De Zerbi factor, Dan, he's going to get more from certain players that we're not expecting too much from. And they may not be the answer short term. And hopefully, just hopefully in a few years' time, De Zerbi's still there. And he's done for Spurs what Arteta's done for Arsenal. And we look back and we think, that first season that he was there, the strikers weren't that good. But look how he's improved year on year. And I'm just hoping that that's the case. If it's Richie and Solanke, I'll be upset because I want better. But hopefully you'll look back in years, whether it is or it isn't, and think, well, he had to start somewhere, and he's got them, and he's lifted the levels to there, and then he's gone higher. And as the team's progressed and got better and better, we've attracted better players. The board have carried on backing him, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, from finishing 17th twice, we are a competitive team, but sustainable. It's sustainable. It's not like 1 or 2 years and then we drop off again. He's building a team that's going to be sustainable, like the big clubs have for the last 20, 30 years. And that's what we've been lacking because of this lack of ambition by the owners. We've never, when they've been lucky enough to come across a manager who's done well for them, they've never.
He's driving it here, no, isn't he? He is the main driver.
He's driving it completely.
Yeah.
Complete. And you saw Sebastian Kehl, what they wanted him to come in. I think he was the Stuttgart director of football, and they wanted to bring him in before the season, and he said no because De Zerbi had too much power over which players were coming in, and that shows you the amount of power that De Zerbi has at the club.
Yeah, they promised him the world, didn't they? You keep us up, you can have do what you want. I don't mind that to a point, but you do need good football operators. That lounge level. And like you said, they brought the bloke in from City. Seems to be closing deals and getting deals done quicker.
Yeah,
a lot more. It looks better to me. I can tell you that with the sales we've made, more efficient, I'd say. Some pit fans have questioned certain prices on players, but whatever. We're getting money back, the most important thing. So look, how long can this go on for, though? I've got another question coming up. I'll hold that for now. But let's go to the chat. David says, I think it's fair. Ange was good in the chats to get players too. And let's be honest, Ange was a great motivator for players. One thing Ange was, and I wasn't a fan of Ange overall. I mean, after he came on to Sky Sports, didn't he? And it was with Gary Neville. That podcast they do. He came in and there was a couple of interviews with him, and and he was going on about he wanted this player, he wanted that player. And you're kind of thinking, was it entirely his fault? It went to, yes, his tactics were terrible. And I'll never will go back on that. That he should have adjusted, he should have adapted with having injured players, etc., etc. But he did have a point in regarding that Spurs, they don't go for the top players, and that he's got a point, isn't he? He's not the only one, Ian.
No, he's not. Listen, Ange was a great motivator as well. You listen to him talk, and you enjoyed listening to his interviews. Half of them were delusional, but you still, the guy had personality. And the speech that he made evidently the afternoon of the Bilbao game was inspirational as well. But you're right, his tactics were horrendous. But yes, a motivator.
But then with the balance of the players, say he wanted X, X, and X, and he got that.
Well, he did.
It's a point, hasn't he?
But it's funny, in his first transfer window, he spent all summer chasing Gallagher, interestingly enough. Didn't get him, ended up buying Solanke. And then, and John, sorry, was it was John, was it Johnson, I think? I think he bought Johnson as well.
When Kane left, he was left with Johnson.
Those are the two players I heard that he had to have, was Solanke and Johnson. So, listen, we need a top director of football with a specific style of football that's going to carry us through the years, regardless of who the manager is, DOF is, who the players are, and that's what we need. And we're some way off that at the moment.
And it's going to be a bit of a power struggle, isn't there? There's going to be a bit of a power struggle because they'll have their idea. You want them to have big ambition for Spurs to eventually go on and push for the title and actually win things, compete consistently in the league. There's no excuse why we can't do it. The revenue streams are there. The fan base is there. The history is there. It's all about making better decisions in the recruitment and backing your managers and getting rid of players who just don't work out.
Dan, he's come in, he wants to win the league. That's his aim. Ultimately, is to win the Premier League.
Has he quoted that? Have you got a quote? Has he actually said that?
I've heard that that's what he wants. He's not come to finish 5th, 6th or 7th. He's come here to win trophies. And that's the sort of ambition you want. That I'd be surprised if he didn't have that ambition. Because he wants to be successful. So, let's see. We'll see.
Okay. Just go for a few comments. Waffles in the chat. Pep got his 22 players each season. So far, Arteta, if we're going to compete with the big boys, then let's just go for it. And that's why they've got to close these striker deals off. If they don't, then they failed. They have, I think, because that forward line was an area which there was no excuse not to improve. And if we don't get the players over the line, it looks like the past mistakes that this club have made for so many years.
They're not past mistakes. Look at Arsenal. Took them 6 years to get a centre forward.
Yeah, but Ian, there's players out there, there's forwards out there. If you can't get one or your first choice, there are top players out there
providing the clubs will let them go. But if you've got a shortage of good forwards, do you think Villa's going to let Watkins go? Rashford doesn't want London. Rashford wants to go back to United. I've heard that on the radio in the last couple of days. So we can forget Rashford. How many other strikers are there? I mean, who else is there, Dan?
Okay, let me put it to you like this, Ian, then. Okay, so if they don't, you're going to be okay with it. You're going to say, okay, listen, fair enough, the club have done all they can.
If the club have done all they can and they can't get Krupi, they tried for. They spoke about, for me, I'd go for someone like Balogun because I think he's very gettable. Osherman, you've got to have a go for. They're looking at Savinho and Gakpo. They've looked at Somerville. They've spoken to Leao's agents. These are the ones we know about. There are others that we probably don't know about where they've made inquiries and the agents check with the player and the player says we're not interested. We don't hear about that. I'd definitely try and get Krupi in January, 100%. I think it'd be superb for Spurs. And I don't think it's a risk. I think he's the sort of player that if we don't get him now, we'll look back in 2 or 3 years when he's worth 150 million, and we'll be gutted we didn't buy him. I think he's
That's
going to be
mad,
that.
isn't it?
He's going to be that good.
I mean, Ian, that's a big thing to say. What, 13 goals for Bournemouth last season? Yeah, it could happen. It could happen, but
And
well, how much did they want from him? How much did Bournemouth want? They didn't want to sell him, did they? They said
didn't want
that
to sell him.
they didn't want to sell him. It was 100 million, wasn't it? At least.
Dan, there was a winger in Germany that came through this season called Diamondi.
Yeah.
And he's just gone for over 100 million to Real Madrid.
Mm-hmm.
And they looked at him, they recognised it, and they put
one
the money
good season,
down.
right? One good season.
Good season. And nobody says a word because it's Real Madrid. Because everyone will look at that and think, guys, a bloody good player. It's Real Madrid. They're showing ambition. But with us, with our fan base, it's one season that we want to spend 90 million. But it's good enough for Real Madrid. Make it make sense.
I get you. Let's go to the chat. Let's get the chat back involved. David says, De Zerbi is driven, rolled up his sleeve and do everything that this team to get this club at the top. He gives it all and will make N17 a fortress and let's get behind the team. Yeah, man. Look, we will get behind the team. This is what it is, isn't it? Like the last couple of seasons has been so difficult supporting the club with all those defeats, but we keep turning up. Fans keep turning up. They keep filling the stadium. They keep supporting the team, even in the bad times. So, it's up to the players on the pitch, the manager, the club, to give us fans something, isn't it? It's up to them. They've got to deliver it on the pitch, and we will be there. We're there all the time, whatever's going on, right, Ian? We're always going to be there. They're the most important people at the club are the fans, right? We're the most important people.
I must say that the Spurs fan base is phenomenal. Yeah. They are so loyal. Seriously,
they're not getting enough for the protests. I'll say that.
Correct. They don't protest enough. But in terms of turning up week in, week out, away games, every game goes to a ballot. It goes to loyalty points. There's not one match that tickets don't sell out. Not one away game.
Scott's got a good comment here. Every time a new manager comes in, they're the greatest manager that ever existed.
Well, I think the great managers in over the years have been Ferguson, Guardiola, Ancelotti, Mourinho, Conte. I don't think anyone's ever compared Spurs managers to those. In fact, we had one that we had to go back 50, 60 years for Bill Nicholson, who was great. Venables was good. Birkinshaw was good. We've had some very good managers. I don't think we've ever said they're the greatest manager. I think everyone's just desperate for success, and everybody wants whatever manager comes in to be successful. I think that's where the fan base is.
Look, when De Zerbi came, there was some fans who weren't keen. Do you remember?
Yes,
there was a lot of protest about De Zerbi. Certain fans, and they kind of changed their mind now. What gives you faith in this guy, Ian? Because, you could say, okay, look, remember going back to Pochettino when he came in. Obviously, we all saw what he'd done at Southampton. We liked the way he played football. When I think back now, I can't say I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be amazing. He's going to be the guy. He's going to bring us, a level of success, because we never did get over the line with Pochettino. We did very well. We were a fantastic team, brilliant years under Pochettino, fantastic memories. This feels a bit different with De Zerbi, but when I think about it, De Zerbi did no more than Pochettino at his stage in his career. So why does this feel different?
Different to
Pochettino, for example. I don't know how you felt about Pochettino. Maybe you felt different to me. Obviously, I was intrigued for him coming to the club with what he did at Southampton. I liked the way he played, but I can't remember this level of noise around a manager this time with De Zerbi to compare to pre-Pochettino.
Sure. I think two things. I think firstly, social media and the press and the media coverage of football is so much bigger than it was when Pochettino came 12 years ago.
You've got a point there, yeah.
And I think that Pochettino already got the job. Van Gaal was coming to Spurs, and then he'd already agreed to join. United came in. and he called Levy and he said, "Look, awfully sorry, but United have called and I'm going there." So Levy got Pochettino by default, in effect. Full marks. He made the choice. He brought him, and in his first season he finished fifth, I think. But he moved on. He was moving on Lennon, Adebayor, Capoue, Kabul. He was making changes. That first team. I remember. Carl Walker had been at the club several years. Carl Norton was the right back for the first Pochettino game. He brought Dyer in to start as soon as he joined. And he sort of brought, Lloris was already there. He brought Danny Rose in soon after. He had Dembele there, lifted Dembele to different levels. So it was slightly different to what happened with De Zerbi. De Zerbi came in and we were in big trouble. We were in massive trouble. And he got us out of trouble. And I think that you look at it and everybody was just delighted that he turned a team that was spiraling down. We hadn't won in 16 games, 15 games, I think, when De Zerbi came in, and all of a sudden we won 3 out of the last 7. So I think everyone's really excited because De Zerbi's come in. He's a firebrand character. He's left previous clubs because he's had big rows with owners. I think that our owners are probably very aware of that and they're probably wary and are probably dealing with him in a different way maybe than previous owners did. But so far he's shown to be very good at Spurs. Phase 1 was to keep us up. Phase 2 was to start rebuilding the first team and then the squad, which he's doing. He's doing that. And if everybody said, if he doesn't get strikers, of course, it's a massive disappointment. But I think he'll work it slightly differently. And I think we'll get goals from around the team. Whereas last year, we just, apart from Romero and Van der Ven and Polini, and nobody else contributed, did they? Solanke, I think, scored 3 or 4 league goals as well in the half season he was fit. And I think people are just excited with what De Zerbi can do. He's come in, he saved the club from relegation. He spent 85 million and 100 million on 2 players. And everyone's looking at it thinking, Jesus, what's going on here? And he plays a nice style. He plays a good style of football. Much better than Frank. Not as kamikaze as Ange. More exciting than Conte and Mourinho. And more like Pochettino. And if people remember how he played with Brighton, it was lovely football. Some of the goals they scored from back to front, 21, 25 passes. Took them into Europe for the first time in their history. And Brighton have made fantastic strides under Tony Bloom. He had a succession plan there with DOFs and players. They never left him short for what, Brighton stretched and went as far as they could financially. He went to Marseille. He did well there. He had them challenging PSG. In terms of the clubs below, PSG are a level above the rest. But, Marseille was 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And he did a good job there. So I think everybody's excited. Everybody's hearing that he's had great chats with Fernandes, great chats with Tonali. And you read all the quotes and everybody loves him. So that this De Zerbi effect is really important. And I think he'll get a lot more out of certain players than us as fans expect from looking at certain players over the last few years. He'll come in, he'll get more out of them. And I think we'll have a better season. If we don't get two forwards, I still see us finishing maybe 9th. If we get the 2 forwards, I can see us challenging for top 6, definitely.
And look, I've Scott's comments in the chat. Yeah, I'm just going to go over them, right? Frank was a tactical genius, adaptable professor we needed, right? Then he says, when Jose came in, he was making everyone winners. See you next Tuesdays. When Conte came in, he was changing the mentality of the club. Mm-hmm. When Nuno came in, he's going to make us proud. When Ange came in, he called all the players to come in. So, Ian, do you get where he's coming from here?
Of course I do. But the difference is that these owners are backing De Zerbi. The previous owners didn't back any of these managers. And we can all remember what Conte said with his rank, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
This club, the players don't like to play under pressure. This club, nothing changes in 20 years. Nothing changes in 20 years. Conte said, you look at the managers that Spurs have had. How come Conte and Mourinho, Spurs are the only club that they haven't won trophies at? They just didn't get the backing. There wasn't the ambition there. There's no point actually running a club for profit and to take the club to a certain position when you're bringing in managers like Conte and Mourinho that only want to win things. That's all they're interested in. So the two were diametrically opposed. The Conte and Mourinho mentality and mindset and the ambition of the board were poles apart. It was never going to work. Ange didn't listen. Ange won a trophy, and you can't take anything away from him. Even if I do think that it was the players that sorted that out with the tactics. But he was backed, and he was given plenty of money, but only on players up to a certain level that he could buy because of the wage cap. None of them got back properly. Not properly with wages as well as money being made available. De Zerbi is the first manager in 26 years, first manager out of about 18, that they're actually said to him, there's the budget and the money for wages. So that's why it's exciting now, because at last the club appear to be showing ambition that they never showed before.
Right. Before I come back, Ian, with that, it's good stuff. Guys in the chat, smash the like button, please. Thank you very much. It really helps the channel. Please go and subscribe to Ian's channel as well. Tottenham Touchline, much appreciated. And look, so kind of round it off a little bit here, because you said, okay, if we don't get them players in, we can't get them due to X, Y, and Z. Do you think De Zerbi's going to be thinking that, Ian? Because I don't think so.
Don't think he'll be happy at all. I genuinely don't think he'll be happy at all. I do think we'll get somebody. I think he'll get someone, maybe at least one over the line. I genuinely think that. I think if there's a gap between what City want for Savinho and what Tottenham want to pay, I think we'll end up paying it if it gets near the end of the window and he still hasn't got anyone. I think it'll be right. Okay, what does City want? We'll pay it. We'll go back. Tell him we'll pay the money. Let's bring him in. I can see that happening. Krupi, definitely yes. Tell and Odebear, long-term plans. I think Tell's better than Odebear, from what I've seen. Is he ready for the first team now? No, but yes, we've got to build a squad, not just a team, but we've got to get that team built first.
Tell and Odeberg, let's be honest, Odeberg's injured, so we can't really talk about him. We haven't seen him under De Zerbi. But Tell has been given a lot of game time. He's played every game, hasn't he, Ian?
Yeah, I think
one goal, one great free kick. I just think he will be moved on. I think he's such a frustrating player. Again today, if you saw it, he just doesn't got it, has he? And I don't know if he ever will.
But you know what, Dan, he's put that ball on a plate for Richie for that header.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. Yeah, I get. Yeah, there's a couple of things, but
if you win a game, you come away and you say, well, look what he did. Look at Tell's cross for Richie for the winner at Villa. Ultimately, ended up put us 2-0 up.
Yeah, but Ian, the problem is, De Zerbi hasn't come out and said, "Look, Tell, and he's not going to. I know that, but he's not going to be our starting left winger, is he? He's not. We're not going to see him. He's going to be coming on off the bench. He might, if there's an injury to our left winger.
He should be, but at the moment we don't have a left winger.
He's the only thing we got. It's the only player we got.
That's right.
I'm not convinced by Tell. I never have been, but that's me. That's my opinion on him. I know he's got a bit of a fan club.
Yeah.
In the fan base, especially pre-season, it's come back because he scored that worldy free kick. With Tell, he can pop up with a good goal. He can do it now and then, but I want my forwards I want them to be consistent. I want them to
Yeah,
actually be
sure.
able, when they get to that final third, and he gets to it, he does well to get to it. I think he's got a good touch, but when it gets to that decision making in that final bit,
That's the problem, the decision making, Dan.
he hasn't got
That's
it.
his
It's the
issue.
football IQ, I think you might want to call it as well. Has he got the football IQ to, provide this team with what we need? And I'm sorry, I don't think he has. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but what I've seen so far, I don't think so.
We need better for the first 11. That's for sure.
Yeah, we certainly do. And Odeberg again, similar with Tell. But look, let's carry on with the chat. One Spurs King says Frank made me hate football. Ferg says Dortmund, he was Lubo.
Yeah, that was Kel, correct.
Kel, yeah.
Rain
in the chat says everything starts with ends with good players. Good players, bad coaching, different results. Bad players, good coach, poor results. So true.
Yeah, sure. No, listen, at the end of the day, a coach is only as good as the players he puts out there and the system he plays them to. That's important. I'll give you an example. Leicester, they had 2 or 3 stars and they had some really good hard-working players. And Ranieri put them into really good units. And, the 5,000 to 1 shot won the league. And deservedly so that year. Greece in 2004, no stars, but a coach that drilled them. So, coaches are as important, I think, these days. But yes, of course, if you haven't got the players, Rain, 100% correct, you're not going to do anything, are you?
No, spot on. And Waffleless says the owners believed in Arteta and he got fully back. The fans should believe in De Zerbi's abilities.
Yeah.
Yep, they got to keep backing money, quality players every window. That's what I want to see now. This is what they're going to do. We're going to have to see it. Time will tell.
Yeah.
We've got Lowell N in the chat here. Frank said 100% we'll lose matches and went on to lose all the matches. He certainly did. And Nita in the chat, evening to you. Glenn Hoddle made a good point. We no longer develop players, that we leave legacies at our club.
Well, De Zerbi wants a strong academy. So
he's looking at players, isn't he? He's actually said that he wants to include some players going into this season to be in and around the first team, training with the first team players. Maybe get some minutes. It's going to be tough. We've got no Europe Cup runs. I don't know. Depends on who we got and etc.
But what's interesting is that since he started at the club, based on what the academy director has been telling him, he's been putting in academy players into first team training and having a look at them. So he's got his eyes. He's watching everything, De Zerbi.
Who do you reckon he's going to include, Ian? What's your inkling there?
What do I think? I think that for this season, players from the academy, I think he's obviously looking at Williams-Barnett. He's obviously looking at Hardy. Is it Kieran Mettinen? And I think Byfield, once he gets over his injury. I think they'll be the 4. And obviously he's looking at Mikey Moore at the moment as well.
We'll see. I'm sure we'll find out soon, hopefully. Scott in the chat, I think too many people are praising ENIC 2.0 way too much at the moment. 3 big signings and nothing since. They need to show us a lot more for me to believe anything. And look, Scott, I agree with you there. I need to see more. I do. I ain't got the trust yet. I can see what they're doing, but it's work in progress. And I think after this, so many years of disappointment and frustration, and I think if you didn't have that on thinking like that, Scott, I think, that wouldn't be right, because I'm sure a lot of the fan base think like what you said, Scott, that, yes, it's great. It's going in the right direction, but a lot has got to be proved. We've got to close the deals on the forward plays, and they got to hit as well, these 4 plays that we bring in, even the signings that we brought in, Tonali, Fernandez. And when we talk about risk, we're spending a lot of money on players. When we talk about a player like Tonali and he's cost that much, maybe a little bit over than what he's probably worth, I think that's less of a risk because he's proven. He's done it in the Premier League. We know what you're getting. You know what you're getting with Tonali. Fernandez a little bit less to a point because he's obviously played for West Ham, Southampton, but he's been in the Premier League. He's had a couple of seasons, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. Can't remember. But clearly, De Zerbi wanted him straight away. Yeah, there's a player in there. He's got to prove it though, hasn't he? He's coming with a big price tag. There's going to be pressure on the young kid. He's only 21, right, Ian?
21,
right?
yeah.
21. Yeah. He has played a bit of football. He's a kind of all-action midfielder, isn't he? Does a bit of everything. He can play deep. He can. I've even heard he can play in the number 10. It's crazy. Got a pass on him. He can progress the ball. He can take on players. He's very kind of tenacious as well, isn't he? Fernandez. I've seen him.
I think Fernandez will be a very good player. I've got friends who are West Ham fans who said he was by a mile the best player in their club last season, even though they went down. You knew what you were going to get from him, and that was a high quality performance. I think in answer to Scott's text here, his post, I think people are praising ENIC because they haven't seen this from them before. Trust takes time to build up, and obviously it'll take a few years for fans to look at that and several windows to say, do you know what? They have changed. They are ambitious. This is a long-term plan. And they're proving it, and the proof of the pudding's in the eating, and we'll see whether they put the money up. I don't think it's about spending 100 million or 90 million on every player. I think it's about putting the money up for the right player, and whatever it costs. We got Dele Alli for what, 5 million? We've got Modric for 15 million. And I'm not saying there are deals like that to be had these days. But you put the money up at the right time for the right player, and whatever it costs, it costs. If you can get a diamond for 15, 20 million, then terrific. And if it's going to cost 100 million, like Tonali, then you spend that money as well. But it's about the owners saying yes. De Zerbi saying, right, I've got to have that player, and then saying, just fine, money's there, go for it, do what you got to do. And I think that's what people want from ENIC. At the end of the day, it's for them. A, to pick the right people to run the club for them, the football side, and B, the money's there. The money's there for forwards. People can't turn around and say, oh, it's ENIC's fault if we don't buy those forwards in the next 3 weeks, because the money's there. It's been there all summer.
Well, it is on them, isn't it? It is. They've got to pull it off, and they're under a lot of pressure. They've got to deliver.
Yeah, but the people that they are employing have to do their job.
And that's why there is question marks still. And it all goes back to De Zerbi wanting that, but then you've got the people above have to deliver that, isn't it? And this is where there's question marks and frustration in the fan base. And we've heard it across all last few weeks from many people who come on YouTube, on X or whatever social media.
Sure.
That this is question marks on the guys at that level. Have they got it in them to go and close the deals for exciting forward players? And that's what they've got to prove to us. Yes, they've done it with Tonali, Fernandez, and we can go to Van Heck. We know what we're getting from Van Heck, right? We've seen him at Brighton. He's reliable. He's consistent. He's injury-free. He's played with De Zerbi. He's a good signing, yeah? And there's no debate on that one at all, is there, Van Heck? Senesi as well. Fantastic this season for Bournemouth. Really good. He was their captain, great playing it out from the back. Again, a very sensible signing, free transfer. You know where I'm coming from.
Of course, but providing the selling club providing the club you want to buy the player from, wants to sell, Dan. If they don't want to sell,
of course,
you've got to ascertain that, and you've got to move on quickly.
And that's why you've got to have a list, haven't you? It's not just one player and that's all. You've got to have a list. You've got to have backups. If that one's not going to happen, then you've got to move on. You don't want to be held ransom by City, where they're maybe asking for 80 and Spurs only want to pay 60 or at the most 70. You don't want to be held ransom at the same time, isn't it? So there's got to be a bit of more work to do. And I think, and Scott in the chat, Scott Emmons has always said that, yes, it looks all great at the moment, but longer term, and you have said it as well, Ian, they got to have better football people in that role, Lange role, that level. We need to have experts there with the ambition, with the good contacts, with he knows what it takes to make a team successful, win things consistently, competes consistently. Trophies are never guaranteed. Even if you spend money, even if you have a plan, you have talented players, it doesn't always mean you'll go and win. We've seen it over the years across Premier League in Europe. But I think you do need that kind of, because De Zerbi's never won anything, has he, as a manager? Won a trophy, I think, in his career. And then you've got anybody else at that kind of level. Vinay gets questioned so much. Lange, completely, everybody wanted him sacked by it last season. So that Scott is right, and I agree with him. We do need to have somebody coming in at that level of the club. I know you said it with Chris Ramsey doing the scouting in Europe. I like that.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a big guy, someone in there where you're going to go, yes, now we know this club are really being serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, I think the first thing was for De Zerbi to try and get the first team in some sort of order, because it was a shambles last season.
Yeah,
and it's been, apart from the odd half season with Conte, it's been getting progressively worse since Poch left. So if you can get the first team up to a certain level, then you move on. Which will be after this summer. Ramsey will be looking at players starting from now.
Yeah,
and then you've got to look around and say, right, who are we going to bring in as a top director of football?
Mm-hmm.
The other issue might be, because De Zerbi wants more power than most directors of football have been used to working alongside, that might be an issue as well, like Kell was. So
they say they want to be bringing someone who's worked with him before, possibly. I don't know who that is. Honestly, I don't know, but I heard that as well. Let's go to the chat, because I want to finish off the show with one more section, and then we can wrap it up. Big up to everyone in the chat. I appreciate everyone being here, all your comments. Sorry I haven't been able to get through them all. But Darren in the chat, evening to you. Think all of the excitement we've had at the start of the window has died off because no fit number 10. Our forward players are poor, and we need to wake up, and we need to spend big in the next week to bring in 3 top players. Darren, we've been saying this. We all been saying this. We all want this to happen, and let's just hope it does. Let's just hope it does. Right, let's move on to the final section of the show. Ian, are you okay for a few more minutes? You all right? Yeah,
all good. All good.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate you coming on tonight, mate. I hope you enjoyed the show.
No, it's been great.
Show. Been great. Okay, let's move on to the last section of the show, and this is kind of going to wrap it up tonight, guys. And everybody in the chat, please get involved as well. His vision, De Zerbi. Now the pressure shift to De Zerbi, right? So De Zerbi says, I think I like to think I deserve to stay here and deserve to want the top players, because now Tottenham deserves to build a top team. So that tells me a lot about his ambition, right? He clearly did not take this job simply to steady Tottenham and keep them in the Premier League, right? He wants to build something much bigger. And from everything we've seen so far this summer, he has been given a major say in how that team is being built, which we've already discussed all night. He has been directly involved in convincing players to join. He's working closely with Lange and Vinay, and he describes that relationship as the best of his career. So for me, the interesting question now is, wherever De Zerbi deserves backing, he is being backed, right? The bigger question is, what happens when Tottenham finish building this squad? So the kind of discussion now is, if Spurs give De Zerbi another 2 or 3 players, including the attacking quality we all believe this team desperately needs, does the pressure then move firmly onto him? Because at that point, this increasingly becomes a squad built around his ideas. Yes, and it's not completely done. We need backups in other positions. There's still some question marks, but this becomes a squad built around his ideas and his judgment. So how much patience should there be? And are we saying this still year one, give him time? Or if Tottenham spend this level of money and give him the players he wants, should we expect a serious improvement immediately? And here's an even harder question. If De Zerbi has major influence over recruitment, and also he also carries more responsibility if some of the expensive signings do not work. And you can now have all the influence when things go well, and then say the recruitment was somebody else's fault when it goes badly. So the question is, if De Zerbi gets the final 2 or 3 players he wants, what is the minimum you expect from Tottenham this season? Everybody in the chat, get involved. Top 4, top 6, European football, a trophy, something else. Look, there's a lot there. Go for it, Ian.
Right. Which question first, Dan? You,
Just unpack
you,
it, mate. Just
you go.
unpack it, mate. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it's
What?
about De Zerbi and the pressure. Let me just take it back. So it's about De Zerbi and the pressure. He's choosing the signings. He's getting what he wants. As long as this is if we
Correct.
get if we land the forwards. This is if we land the forwards he wants, and we're going to land someone. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to land someone. So it's about the pressure's going to shift now because the club have given him. So there's going to be pressure. This
Yeah.
is not club signings. This is not like, like in the old days where all the people involved in the recruitment decision would then kind of say, yeah, let's target these players. And then the manager will kind of have a little say on it. Or they would, we've had coaches in the before where, and this happens in all clubs, yeah, different clubs and different stages. You're going to have these players and you're going to have to make it work. Where this time, De Zerbi's saying, I want these players. So it's different, right? You
Okay.
get where I'm coming from.
In terms of the players, the way he's working it is that the board have given Vinay the money and said, there's your budget. Lang and Rob McKenzie are putting together videos and data analysis of the players that they think suits De Zerbi ball. They're then presenting it to De Zerbi. De Zerbi is making the final decision. I want A, B, C, and D, and I don't want E, F, G, and H.
Okay.
So yes, there'll be pressure. The more money that's spent by the club, the more pressure, obviously, on De Zerbi. At the moment, he's spent 237 million, and I think he's got back the best part of 100 million now. So it's just under 140 million, which is not enormous at the moment. Where the backing has been because of breaking transfer records and paying the higher wages. And it's the wages that have held Spurs back, because the differential in wages between us and the other big five has been massive, whereas we've spent as much as most of the other big five in the last 5 or 6 years. But the wage thing has meant that we're not getting the right players. In terms of where we want to see, where I would expect Spurs to be, if they get two forwards, I would expect European football next season. And I'm sure, by the way, Robbie, is he a Krupi type centre forward? Not sure. Good player, but they've got to fit De Zerbi. Lewandowski, coming to the end of his career. Osherman's the player that I would like to see out of those three. The pressure will be on him. He's got to perform. But you know what? If you've got a happy camp of players and you've got players that will run through brick walls for him, he'll get it sorted. And the players that play the way he wants to play, they'll be the ones that get the most minutes. So we'll find out over the first 15, 20 games probably, as things settle down, which are the players that are playing regularly and which are the players that aren't. Interesting times.
Yep. So are you going to be brave, Ian, and actually go for an actual, I don't know, prediction? Are you going to be bold? Because you've talked up De Zerbi, you've talked up the signings, you've talked up the changes that the club have made.
I'll
now,
go
are
back.
you
Yeah.
going to be bold and make a prediction? I know you don't know the forwards who are in yet, but
No.
let's take it. Let's put it that we are going to sign better. We're going to get a couple of decent forwards in.
Yeah.
Are you going to be bold and make a prediction, or are you going to be a little bit cautious?
No, I would. If he gets the strikers that he wants, then I would be looking for top 6.
Minimum, yeah? Top
No,
6 minimum.
top 6. I'd be looking for top 6. I don't think we're going to get Champions League football. I think it's a stretch.
Has to be top 6, yeah? Has to be,
But
yeah? If he doesn't, what are you feeling then?
Then he'll go back. Well, it all depends. Listen, we don't know what's going to happen in January as well, do we?
No.
We don't know who's going to be injured. Players could have injuries that are going to take them out for the season. So he's going to have to go in and replace in Jan. We just don't know. But if you get two good forwards in, Kudus comes back, Maddison stays fit, Kulusevski comes back, then, and you've got Tonali and Fernandez. Again, you've got Gallagher and Bentancur as backup. Senesi and Van Heck keep playing the way they've been playing. It bodes well. One game a week. A lot of the clubs that finished above us are in Europe, playing 2 games a week. We should be better than, we should be getting in, we should be higher than the Brightons, Bournemouths, Palace, Sunderland, who are all in Europe. Chelsea are probably gonna have a good season as well. I think Alonso is a first-class coach. It's going to be competitive. There's no guarantee. It's Premier League's a tough league. It's a tough league, and the other clubs aren't sitting there resting on their laurels either. If we don't get the forwards, then I can see us will improve. We'll go from 17th, maybe 9th or 10th. I think that's where we'll finish.
Okay, fair enough. Trophy? Want a trophy next year?
Probably not. I'd like one. Love one. If we can have some good cup runs, again, depends on the draw. You draw Arsenal away or City away. It's completely different to a home tie against a lower level team. You just don't know who you're going to get in the cup.
But do you want him to treat it seriously? You
definitely.
Want him to put everything in.
For sure.
Like we had with Ange, you threw it, didn't he, in his first cup match? Completely threw that competition and out the door early on in his first season. I want managers to take these trophies seriously. I really do, and I hope De Zerbi does, and I hope he plays a strong team in these competitions.
Sure. He made, what did he make? 8 or 9 changes, Ange, against Fulham when we lost on penalties.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to play someone like a Williams Barnett, you throw him into a Carabao Cup match, but you make 1 or 2 changes. You don't make 7, 8 or 9.
Yeah, you have to play most of the first teamers
sure,
if you're going to do that. And then
absolutely.
again, I would, depending on the opposition as well. If it's a big side, I'm not playing him. I'm going full. I'm going all out for that. It's 1 game a week, isn't it?
Yeah,
one game a week. No Europe. We've got to go for it. And if we get knocked out by a better team on the night, fair enough. Yeah, doesn't. I think
the other thing to worry about, Dan, is that if you keep playing the same players week in, week out, then if there's an injury or suspension, someone's coming in cold, and you don't want that either.
You've got to have a bit of it. Yeah, you've got to be a bit. De Zerbi's
got
to mix it up sometimes. Yeah. But then you say you've got Van der Ven, you've got Senesi there. You've got Spence, you've got Porro, you've got Van Heck, Danso, certain games, Danso.
Yeah.
Because I do worry about him coming out from the back. Bentancur, you've got cover there for Tonali, Fernandez. We need probably one more midfielder, but I don't think it's going to happen in this window. But we need midfielders, we need backups, we need quality, and then the number 10s is a lottery really. Who's going to be fit?
well, that's the question. If they get Maddison fit for Brentford, it's funny because these hip injuries are troublesome. Do you remember Lamella had one? Kept him out for yonks, didn't it?
I think he's done, Maddison. To me, I think he's done. He's going to be playing. He's not going to be able to play every game. He's going to have to be used so carefully, Maddison. Yeah, because the Premier League is all go, isn't it? Physical. They just take Maddison out. They'll just take him out because they know he's the creative player in the squad. He'll be gone. He'll be taken out, and he'll be out injured.
I figure he'll play if Maddison's injured. I just think he might play Porro and Spence down that right, and he'll push Kudus into the middle and play as a 10. Kudus is very skillful, holds the ball up, very strong, very rarely gets dispossessed, and I think he could be terrific in a 10 for Spurs.
Yeah, we'll see. I think so. Yeah, I think he can do it. Yeah, I think that's it. Look, let's go to the chat. Let's see what the chat's saying about predictions and pressure with De Zerbi. Let's go over the chat before we close the show down tonight. All the world-class assist opportunities from Tonali and Fernandez will be wasted by that shit front line. Right now, it will be a massive waste if we don't land those forwards.
Yeah.
Lucky sings in the chat, entertainment off the pitch, not just race cars. Priorities, isn't it? Priorities. Ghost in the chat. How you doing, Ghost? How you doing? Bar the price of the midfield signings, we've done the bare minimum to actually address the real problems. Big statement, Ghost. Do you want to share? Maybe you've shared a little bit more in the chat coming on, if you could, mate. That would be great. I want a little bit more from you there. Who else we got in the chat here? We got Matt's in the chat. How you doing, Matt? The more players we get rid of, the more desperate we become, and we have no leverage. Okay, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Ian, want to say anything there?
Yes and no. Solomon's gone. They've got to replace him. That's one less in the front line.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we're short already in the front line. So that puts pressure on the club, more pressure on the club, to go and bring someone or more or 2 or 3 in, because you've now got to replace Solomon, who's been playing in pre-season matches. Odegaard forgets. Kudus is still getting fit, and you can bring Kudus inside. But there's real pressure on now, even more so now Solomon's gone, because they can't use Solomon as an excuse. Because okay, we've got him now in the front line. They can't use that. They've got to go and buy players.
Yeah, they do. They do. David says the football man, De Zerbi, ain't just a coach. He's a driven man. It's clear he's driving this club top to bottom. Yep, I agree, man. Got Benji in the chat. Evening, Benji. Hope you're good, man. Big up, lads. Lubo, quick question. What tangible evidence do you have that we have money sitting there for forward line? Genuine question, not a call out.
People I know who are connected to the club have told me that they've made money available. And if you also read De Zerbi's comments, he's saying that he's 60% of the way through. And if De Zerbi wasn't getting backed, he'd be throwing his toys out the pram, wouldn't he? So I think you look at it, there's money there. Look at the players they're going for. They've got to spend money. City, I think, want 70. Liverpool, if they offer Gakpo, the prices I'm reading about are about 75 million. That's 145 million. So there's money available, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't be looking at strikers.
Yeah, there's definitely money available. Thanks, Ian. I hope that's answered your question, Benji. Rain, the squad is still in massive shambles. 1 left wing, 8 Tal, 2 strikers, Richard Solanke, 1 right wing, Kudos, no fit 10s. He's got a point. He has got a point. There's a lot of work to do still. And I've always said throughout this summer transfer window that we're not getting it all done. It's impossible to get it all done. Build a whole new team in one window. I don't think anyone's done it. I maybe they have. If someone could correct me if they have, but with this level of spending, the amount of changes, players in, players out, new manager, so much is going on, so many changes the club are making as well at the different levels. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of understanding of that, I think. But again, no excuse of not getting 2 better forwards at least, I think. I know I keep saying it.
I think to say the squad is a massive shambles, I think is unfair on the work that's been done with the defenders and the midfield players. We're severely lacking in the front 4 at the moment. We're well under strength on the front 4. Behind him, I think we're well covered. I think we're very well covered in midfield. We're very well covered in all those defenders you were talking about just now, Dan. We were talking about rotating players. We've got a very good defensive squad. So for me, it's the 10 in the front 3.
And I think Rain's saying this, and Rain, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. How many people last season, Ian, and in the end, I even said it, the squad is shit. The squad is shit. That's why we're going to get relegated. And so many people, so many fans said that they didn't want to put the blame on the manager so much. They wanted to blame the quality of player that we had. And
it's unbalanced, Dan. It was really unbalanced, the squad.
Okay.
For me, and
I think Ian, we even had a conversation. I think even we had a little argument last season.
We did.
And you said, "No, Dan, the squad is shit."
It's much
you
better.
You might not use that term. You might not use that term, but you indicated that way.
Listen, I'm sure Rain would agree that if he looks at the players in the squad at the end of May, he looks at the players in the squad now. I'm sure he'll agree the squad is stronger. We're severely lacking in the front 4. And that's what they've got to address. The 6 behind, I think, are much, much stronger, much better. So listen, the squad is better. The overall squad's better. I think the first team is stronger than it was. But again, we're lacking a 10 at the moment, and we're lacking a front three badly. So, we're not going to win many games. We're also not going to lose many games. That's where we are. Whereas last season we were losing a lot more than we were winning. Now it's going to sort of level out. I think we're going to be mid-table at the moment with this squad and no higher. To improve, we've got to get the front four sorted.
All right. Cheers, man. Thank you very much. And let's go to the chat. And Rain coming back saying we had a big debate about the state of the economy. We did. I think so many last season it was debate central, wasn't it? I was with the whole kind of state of the squad. I mean, people will remember in the chat. People who follow me and watch me on my channel and on other shows I've been on. I was really defending the squad a lot, right near the end there. I was fighting tooth and nail, talking about Frank's poor tactics. Then when Tudor came in, it got even worse. And then in the end, I think I was just like, oh, this team, it needs a massive change. This squad is very bad. And yes, you can see, Ian, you said it in a way there, unbalanced. Yeah, I get it. Brutal ways of saying it, like, many do. Squad shit. And in the end, I just had to kind of say, look, it's not good enough because the Tudor came in, it got even worse. Even with a change of style, he was terrible, though, wasn't he, Tudor? He was very bad. What a terrible decision that was. That was a sackable for whoever decided, and this is what I mean, whoever decided he was the guy to bring in and not go for another manager at that period there. I mean, that guy should have been sacked. I don't know who it was, Ian. Who was it, Ian? Was it Lange, was it?
No, Peritish's recommendation.
He weren't at the club, though. He weren't at the club then, was he? He'd gone.
No, they spoke to him about it. They asked him to set up the meeting with Tudor.
Well, power teacher, you're leaving that.
There you go.
Yeah, it was shocking.
He was his recommendation. The two people De Zerbi recommended in November were the two managers that Peritici recommended when he could see things were going pear-shaped under Frank were Tudor and De Zerbi.
Mm-hmm. So, and De Zerbi turned us down, didn't he? He turned us down after we left. Was it he still at Marseille when we approached him?
No, he left.
We approached him after he'd left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go to the chat and just go for a few more comments. I just want to go on about predictions. I need to scroll back a little bit. Let's just see where I'm at now. The Rain's coming at you here. 2 forwards. Why does Lubo think only 2 forwards are needed? You said 3, didn't you, earlier? Didn't you?
I said 3. I said 3. Realistically, how many are we going to get before the end of the window? I could say 5, but that's dream world, isn't it? That's in dreamland.
We've left it too late now. That's the thing. We've left it too late.
We're not going to get 4 or 5. We're not going to get 3. Let's try and get the 2.
And that needs to be reviewed, right? Whatever happens now, I think De Zerbi, whoever, they all have a chat. That's got to be reviewed. What was the problem? What was the problem internally? I don't think we'll ever find out, but it's got to be discussed because pre-season started ages ago and we needed these forward players in to really give us a good start to the season. And I just think we're not ready. We're really not ready for the start of the season right now. It's all a little bit all over the place. Russell in the chat says, if we can only buy 2 more players, which 2 do we get? Left wing, 10 or 9? I mean, we've gone over this, haven't we, tonight, Ian? It's getting... We need 2.
You want 1 player and you want a forward who is flexible, that can play along the front line.
Yeah. Sonny says, if we get 3 proper men, attackers top 5, he says...
Maybe, depending on who they are, quite possibly.
Carl in the chat says top 6, possibly top 4. A bunch of teams have new coaches. We have to take advantage. And another thing as well, other clubs will get business done as well. And we need to look at that. We need to see what them teams look like as well by the end of the transfer window, because, these clubs could go in and get some big signings and kind of move a little bit ahead of us because they're already ahead of us. Think of all the teams ahead of us already Ian, in the league. You know, how many teams finished above us last season? It was embarrassing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a lot of catching up to do, not even just at the top sides, with teams that just consistently do well season on, season out. You know, look at Sunderland, the sort of season they had. It came from the Championship, qualified for Europe.
Sure.
Amazing job they did,
Terrific.
didn't they? Brighton, they made Europe, didn't they? Who else made Europe? Aston Villa. Chelsea missed out.
Chelsea missed out. Bournemouth and Palace.
Brentford were close, but they just fell away near the end there.
I think Brentford lost out on goal difference at the end of the day.
Was it that tight in the end?
It was that tight, yeah.
Jeff in the chat says top 6. Pressure is on. Harold in the chat says with 2 or 3 attackers, top 5. See if there's any more in the chat. Michael says here, evening to you. If he gets a left wing and a striker, we'll finish top 5. Okay, so a lot quiet. Scott in the chat says top 10 with current squad. Maybe Scott, what would it be if we do sign those forwards? Let me know in the chat, mate. I think that's it. If we can see any more. Look, Ian, it's been a great show. It's now
thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you for coming on. A massive thank you to everyone in the chat as well. If you can hit the like button for us, big up Guy as well. Sorry, mate, I just see you in the chat there. I hope you had a good night, mate. I hope you're good. Guy said 10th. Yeah, big up, mate. I know you're treading very cautiously about next year. Spoken to you. Look, guys, big up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you could please, I really appreciate it. Ian as well, if you go and subscribe to Tottenham Touchline, his link is in the description, so please go and give his channel. And who are the guys again there, Ian, that you work with there?
With Christian and Jacko.
Yeah. So guys, if you don't know, go and give him a sub as well, and yeah, give him some support. It's a fairly new channel. And yeah, good night everybody. It's been a cracking show, really enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. And yeah, we'll be back at some point. Hopefully there'll be some breaking news, and yeah, everyone will be going live, won't they? Lots to talk about with Spurs, and we're getting very close now. Good night, everyone. Big up. Good night. Take care of yourselves. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Take care.
Come on, you Spurs. Bye-bye. Shutting it down here. Here we go.
Yeah, still